Okay, welcome guys, welcome. This is episode 61, I think, of ChatTactic. Welcome. Hi Dimmerson and Junison, all the sins back in through here. Yeah, welcome guys. We're going to be looking at a few different things, probably just end up going in all sorts of different directions again today, so there'll be no real structure. I'll just double check. Hi Ben, or battle mode, but I'm not sure which way what you prefer to be called. In the chats and so on and so forth. But actually, Ben did highlight on my Discord actually that Dom 6 has been announced. So I thought we'd actually have a bit of a look at what information we have for that one. There's very sketchy. There's not really a lot to sort of see about Dominion 6 at all, actually. So I guess we have to speculate a little bit about what may come or what may not come. Be sort of interesting how we go. So hi Oliver and Andre and CB and Gary. Hope you're all doing very, very well. So anyway, I think we'll start off. Other things I wanted to talk about was Airships is coming in just a couple of days' time, a few days' time before we get the new DLC for Airships. And I'm not supposed to show it off until tomorrow, but it was a bit of a rubbery request, so I'm going to show that off today. Just because I'm not really going to get a chance to really sort of show it off much without actually doing a full playthrough in like as of tomorrow. So I do want to sort of start playing it tomorrow, but I thought I'd just give a bit of a sneak peek as to what's coming with that. I mean, a lot of it you can see anyway, but there is actually something really exciting about that one that I'm really sort of quite happy about. Battlemate saying, Ben's fine, don't keep my name secret. Well, I keep my real name secret, nobody knows that. And William Thomas is saying, hi all, watching Battlemade's Empire videos now. Good stuff, there we go. Anyway, so we're going to have so we'll just sort of rattle through, I guess, and then we'll leave it fairly open. Other things I've been playing this week, of course, is still playing Mechabellum. Still haven't played a multiplayer game of that yet. Every time I go and play it, I think, I don't really have time in case it sort of rolls out into being something that's going to be like about half an hour, because they tend to last about 15 to 20 minutes each game. So the Battlemate's saying, well, as Dazzle embargoes are like chalk and cheese. Well, this is not an embargo. It was like a request not to actually really play the game, but I will show the game. I'll show you what's in it today. It's tomorrow, like it literally is just a few hours away before I'm allowed to sort of then, or the request was if you can hold off until tomorrow, basically that would be the ideal in terms of the marketing. But then if I do that, then it'll be after launch by the time the next ChatTactic comes around. So I think it's best if you are watching these videos for gaming news of what's coming and so on and so forth, then I'll show it now. It was like one of those things. If it wasn't actually a hard set, if it was a hard set embargo, I would honour it, but it wasn't a hard set embargo. Hi Viren Games, how you going? So William is saying, anyone else stuttering, or is it just me? Do you mean graphically? Is the graphics sort of quite bad? If that's the case, I'm just trying to think of what that was. I did fix it up on other things. Let me know if the vision is stuttering from your end. Oh, the sound should be okay. The sound looks fine from my side. That shouldn't be an issue. I think everything else is actually working out okay. Okay, so Jonathan saying, Daz, if you had to recommend one game over the other, Fragile Allegiance or Xenonauts? So the Fragile Allegiance with a wink, of course, and I didn't pick up on it until I saw the wink. So Jagged Alliance. I actually, what did I do? I did in my video where I went through about it, and I've had to record that so many times. The trouble, I recorded it like 4 times, full on 1 hour recordings plus more of it of Jagged Alliance, and I still said welcome to Fragile Allegiance when in the one that was actually good enough. So that's why when you watch it, there's a bit of an abrupt cut in at the very, very start, because I had to get rid of my actual intro because of I still called it Fragile Allegiance. I don't know why I did that anyway, but actually over the two of them, God, it's hard, like it's really tough. They're in a similar vein, but God, both of them are so good. I think from a polish perspective, you'd have to go with Jagged Alliance, I think, but that would be I don't even know what's the price point on both of those. Let's have a look. Let's have a look and see, because I think that's what it would come down to. Steam. Okay, so we'll just see what the and this is Australian dollars. So we've got Xenonauts. So in Australian dollars, it is worth, what the hell? Where is it? It doesn't actually show it. It's just not sure what the price point's going to be. That's weird. Is it in the discussions? Okay, William's saying yeah, it's $49.99 on the Jagged Alliance 3. So the release date is actually I didn't realise actually the release date is basically tomorrow as well for this. So so I wonder if the discussions people are actually asking for the price. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can see it there. I don't know if any of you guys have been able to find it either. Looks like around $30. Okay, so if it's 2/3 the price of Jagged Alliance, but gee, I tell you what, $50 US for Jagged Alliance is pretty cheap, to be honest, as well. God, it's a real tough one. I think Jagged Alliance is more polished. It's definitely more polished, but the Xenonauts is yeah, is an exceptional game. Like it's, I would say that yeah, it's funny because if it is $30, then it's a 50-50 because Jagged Alliance is. So I think if you don't mind the extra $15, then I'd probably go Jagged Alliance just because of the polish, the all of the different sort of like the camera rotation, the graphics, the voiceover work, all of those things are exceptional in Jagged Alliance. They really are. It's such a fun game to play, whereas Xenonauts is not as polished in that sort of sense. You know, it's not supposed to be as polished either. Like it's just the actual graphics, etc. So I'd go. I would, yeah. If the $15 doesn't mean much to you, but in terms of it, when you really bring it down to its base gameplay, it's even little things like in Jagged Alliance you can actually go into a prone position, which in Xenonauts you can't. Now Xenonauts do it to try to sort of make it so that you get some balance in the way that the game is sort of played. So it tries not to make it so that it's too easy for you to survive the different attacks, but like with the aliens and so on and so forth. But both of them are great games. In terms of replay value, again, I think both games are going to have amazing replay value. Like they've still got like they're similar in so many ways, but they're also so different. Oliver saying, yeah, Fragile Allegiance is a colony management game from 1997. Anyway, so Sorbical saying, I'll be going with Xenonauts 2, but that's mainly because I backed it, so I already own it. I've watched a lot of JA3 on Twitch, though, and it looks a lot better than expected. Yeah, Jagged Alliance 3 is there is actually a, if we go and have a look, maybe we'll have a look at this, because with both games coming out, it really, for me, this, and I don't normally have 50-50s like this, where I really am on the fence between them, and I did err on the side of Jagged Alliance from the sake of polish. But if it's a 33% less to get Xenonauts, then I think it really is a 50-50 as to which way you go. They're both great games. If we just go across into, actually, I'll do it. I'll do it in my Steam library. Just open this one up and go to the library. I did notice there was a Jagged Alliance. Just go back this way. What have they got? It's the game release. I saw something in here before when I was just having a bit of a look around. Co-op issue fixed. Which we'll have to talk about Shadows of Forbidden Gods as well, releasing. So there's a fair few things that are happening this week. Geez, where is it? Where is it? Dev Diary, look back. This is quite interesting, actually. Just go and have a look at this. So what they've done with this is they've pretty much done a comparison. They've actually interviewed a couple of the old devs, and but they've also just done a split screen comparison between the new game and the old game. And so again, like it really does highlight just how much they've gone back to Jagged Alliance 1 and 2 to actually do what they need to do. And so it's quite amazing, the actual, the whole approach that they've actually taken with the game in here. So it's certainly a much more polished game, but you can sort of see even with the split screens, and I don't think I can I get that bigger? Yeah, I can. I'll just go as big as I can there. So 130%. So this is sort of like Jagged Alliance 1 and 2, but over this sort of side with the various sectors, sort of showing the sort of enemies you're likely to counter. Same sort of deal in through here with Jagged Alliance 3. I wonder if they had a thing where they were wondering if it was worth going to hexes. I just wonder if that ever crossed their mind, or if it was always just going to be tiles. Like I always wonder whether that ever becomes an issue for people. Like I know that some games hexes work well, and this is a game that wouldn't have mattered either way, to be honest. Hexes or tiles, I don't think. Although probably hexes would allow you to streamline your way through to different locations a bit too easily. So it is interesting anyway. All right, so that's the map screen. So again, really does go back. It's got a few extra little things like this sort of timing aspect at the bottom there. God, that's interesting. I'm just looking at this actually. The enemy controls the little island, which is your first starting off island. I don't know how they've actually done this. They've got two mercenary groups on this particular map, but that like maybe at some point the enemy comes back in and takes the island back off you. That's interesting. Anyway, that's so really what they're looking at through here is Jagged Alliance 1, 2, and then 3, and forgetting about all of the games in the middle, which is good. Like I think this is great what they've done, and they just go through. There's good old Ivan Dolvich. Again, the voice acting in this game is unbelievable. I mean, it was always been sort of funny. It really has been a great little game. Anyway, that's the sort of like the screen where you sort of go and actually collect your group at the start. Back and through here, there's Ivan, I think, in the water attacking a crocodile or something. Back from the old game. Again, that's just sort of showing that same screen there before. Again, this one sort of going through the differences, but it still feels very much like the original type game, where they've got the much better graphics, of course, back and through here, and really the polish in the game is unbelievable. With what they've actually been able to set up, different ways of attacking the actual units themselves. I did put the mod in to actually allow to hit the hit percentages, and I've got to say I actually prefer it with the hit percentages. It's not actually impacting me the way that the devs thought it would. So Guy Bellaby saying money here for the marble run. Actually, I should point out what we're going to be going for today. I'll have a look at my notes in just a second. I've got a couple of games left to give away, so I'll have a look quickly now. And so today's will be Total Conflict Resistance is the key I have to give away there. So that'll be Total Conflict Resistance. We'll have a look at that game in a minute as well. Great little game, that one. So this one here is of course, it still lends on what was actually sort of done back in the original, where you sort of tried to get better and better abilities to then go and actually hit. It now has more stuff to sort of show what's going on around this one here, but it actually does work very, very well. What else have we got in through here? I don't remember ever fighting these creatures underground, like giant bugs, but anyway, I never got all that far into Jagged Alliance 1 or 2, so I'm not sure exactly where that one sort of fits. Showing you interaction. There's Meltdown. I don't know who Meltdown actually is. I've never played with her in the original, but that's her in this particular version. And again, just sort of talking with a villager, But God, the graphics are beautiful in the new version. It really is amazing. What a great game though, back from its era. Yeah, they sort of asking about the one thing that they were asking the old devs about was the actual dialogue and there's like slapping and stuff in the original. It's pretty cool the way it sort of does work. It's so they really have gone back to the roots for this one here. This is the IMP, where you can sort of go and build your own unit, build your own hero or merc. Which is actually that really is something that you should be doing. It costs a little bit extra, but you don't then pay any upkeep on that particular merc, the one that you do build in yourself. It just needs more characters added to it. There's the getting the bits and pieces. So this is Livewire. Not sure if that's text underneath there. What else are they showing? Just the graphics in through here as well. Great graphics. I love how they've done this as well. When you're playing the game, whatever your current save game is, they then have the actual characters sitting around waiting for you to start the game up, which is done really, really nicely. Anyway, that's, I would say that just squeaking ahead, maybe Jagged Alliance 3, simply from a polish perspective. And the gameplay between both games is great. Of course, with I guess it comes down to the scale of units, and one of the things with the scale of units is that you're looking at a fairly high. You're looking at a lot more units when you're actually playing with Xenonauts 2. But having said that, I do find that I really am getting very familiar with, even though I've got like 10 or 9 characters in each mission. You can have multiple teams coming back in, so you can have a lot of fighters. You do become attached to certain characters, which is a bit almost like RimWorld, I guess, in that sort of sense, where you've got like a lot of characters, but you still actually get used to them and still become attached to them. And that's actually something that I think that whereas in Jagged Alliance, you really are attached to your core group. Every single unit in there, you really do get a connection to. Whereas in Xenonauts 2, you do, but you don't, if you know what I mean. Like there's probably a bit too many to sort of manage. So you are managing more of a bigger group. I'm trying to think about when XCOM came out. You know, the more modern take on XCOM. Again, the characters there, you were always fearful you were going to lose them. And that was something I didn't like about XCOM. In Jagged Alliance, you don't feel like you're going to lose them. So it's they can certainly suffer, but it doesn't feel as permanent as XCOM. So it doesn't feel like an XCOM sort of an XCOM style of game. So Drexy is then sort of saying is it Jagged Alliance 3 versus Xenonauts 2? Yes, pretty much. So I really can't pick between them, to be honest. It's I think given the price point, it really is a 50-50. But if you want the polish, the dialogue, stuff like that, then Jagged Alliance is going to be the better game. But if you they're both great squad-based games, turn-based squad games. They do an amazing job. One thing I think I was having a look before I started actually, just to see what the most popular games are on Twitch, and at this moment of all the strategy games, Jagged Alliance is the most streamed of the strategy games, of sort of like modern strategy games, but it's still number 45 on the list, so it's still a long way down. Sorry, I'm missing so many of the comments here, guys. I'll just go back up to the top of my actual list here. Just do a just mention like as tactic. I think it then highlights, so I can sort of see if there's a specific sort of question. Okay, Gary's saying, I just like the enemies get a reaction move when they discover you. I like it in XCOM. Now, let me talk about that. Actually, I'll just go back up the top there, and I'll just scroll back up. We're going to fall off the back here with all of this. That's I didn't like that either. And when I saw it, I thought the AI was really dumb because they didn't actually take any reaction shots on you. The way it works though is they've tried to find a way of balancing it for when it does go into turn-based, like as to what to do, because the AI is never going to surprise you. You're always going to be the one that actually does the, it actually triggers the AI. And you can trigger it in different ways. You can trigger it sort of like, so there's a scale of how you trigger it. There is one where you trigger it badly and it will get reaction shots on you. But the default is for it to, is for you to trigger it. It then goes into cover, then you get to have your normal turn. So you still get like a half turn at the start, but it's not really a like when you actually, if you trigger it through a surprise attack. So the reason they did that, and I didn't realize this because I also didn't think I liked it either, was it was to try to give balance without the AI getting a free hit at you. So it allowed you to sort of get half into a position. It sort of meant that, like, unless you were, because like they also, I think, realised that this is going to be a fairly nostalgic game. So there's going to be people that are not going to be super fast with their reflexes playing the game. So it was a nice way for them to sort of balance things out, where at least the AI can try to get back into cover somewhere, and then you then have your turn, and you have to decide whether you then attack or then move off into cover as well. And I think when you think of it in those terms, for me that actually works quite well. So as a game mechanic, once I read about it, I thought, yep, I'm actually I can see that, I'm comfortable with that, because I actually didn't rate the AI at all when I first saw the other people playing it. I wasn't even interested in picking the game up at that point after seeing the reaction. The AI reaction phase, because I just thought, oh, why isn't it shooting? It's got a perfect shot, but it's actually it's done to try to create a balance between everything, which I think is good. So I'm a bit of a fanboy of what they've done with that one now, whereas I originally wasn't. Battleman saying again, I disagree. The voice acting feels half-hearted to me, and the dialogue is cringy rather than funny. The original was played with a much more subtle appreciation for action movies, with a straight face rather than this comic farce we have. I love it. I find it so funny. I find I'm laughing out aloud a lot when I'm just playing it on my own. Like, I'm actually really enjoying the corny dialogue of different characters. I think for me it works well. I just you get a sense of character and personality from what's actually happened. I think it's brilliant. Ben. I do. I've got to strongly disagree with you there. So Silbicall is saying, right on PC now. As I was saying, Jagged Alliance 3 is likely to be a Christmas sale purchase for me at this point. Some of the voice acting humour in Jagged Alliance 3 gets old very fast, hoping that they'll be modded out by then. Yeah, I don't know if there'll be a way of having it so that it doesn't respond as much. I know what you mean, that certain things will come up time and time again. And when you've only got like 4 or 5 characters, or three, 4 or 5 characters, you typically in a squad, you do hear the same voices over and over and over, and that can, some of them can wear a little bit thin. Hi Drexy, how are you? I think I said hi there before. So as Russell's saying hi as well, and Gary's saying, I don't like the gamey stores market either. Your starting enemies have too much hit points too, and can act the same when in full health or near dead. Again, that's the game. They don't have a morale type system where they cower or anything like that. But again, it's just a game, and I think it goes back to its roots, back to the Jagged Alliance 1 and 2, which I think is cool. Silbercall saying there's clearly a lot of inventory management in Jagged Alliance 3. Not onerously. It's sort of funny. It's sort of one of these games where they've like every time when I play it, I'm always thinking, wow, they've actually really streamlined the micromanagement in the game in as many ways as they possibly can. So you do actually have like I haven't found it onerous, and I tend to dislike that aspect. It's funny because also with Xenonauts 2, I've actually really enjoyed how streamlined Xenonauts 2 is as well, with its inventory management of the actual soldiers. it's incredibly well done. So again, if we're sort of comparing the two games, they both do a very good job of this, and more so than older games where you like Xenonauts. It used to drive me nuts trying to get the loadouts for things, and I used to hate the games where you'd actually end up having to come back and then go and actually make the bullets that you need. Now, Jagged Alliance does have that. It does actually have a system where if you run out of bullets, you're going to have to build your own bullets. So it does actually have that aspect to it. But then again, you're only dealing with 4 characters, whereas with Xenonauts, the actual when you compare the inventory management is better in Xenonauts, I've got to say, because Xenonauts really just comes down to what's special equipment and what's not special equipment. If it's not special equipment, then you get it for free, including all your grenades, all of those sorts of things. It's only the more high power sort of energy weapons and stuff in Xenonauts that actually does require you to then build them and maintain an inventory of them. So in that sense, Xenonauts is probably better in that sense than Jagged Alliance, but Jagged Alliance, I don't know, I really haven't noticed it much, and it's very easy to sort of switch things around. Each weapon is good I think the weapons are better in Jagged Alliance overall, with just the way that they sort of manage them. But anyway, that's where we are there with that one. Where else are we up to? And also, I think Jagged Alliance also, to be able to go into prone mode, to hide behind all sorts of different things, and in both games, the whole every part of the environment is destructible in one way or another, and so both games have got that going for them. So, God, there's a lot's very similar about both games, but they do play very, very differently. Okay, so. So Oliver's saying, I can't believe Xenonauts 2 is going into early access. ETA 9 months, we'll wait for 1.0. It's Xenonauts 2 really is an exceptional game where it currently is. Where are we? So now Thor Nellerman is saying no permadeath in Jagged Alliance 3. It can happen, and similarly in Xenonauts 2. Xenonauts you don't have to have permadeath, but it can actually happen. Actually, I'll show you a permadeath. Just thought of what happened during the week. There was a little clip that was taken. I'll just show it actually because it's quite funny. If you watch my Twitch channel, you'll know what I'm going to show here. Twitch TV. I'll just go I don't hardly ever go to the front end of my actual. I think I'm supposed to change that background at some point. Where is it? The clips. I'm just trying to find where I've got the clips. I'm not sure if I just go to videos. Proper clips. Here we go. So this is. I'll just open this one up and just for your viewing pleasure. This is permadeath in Xenonauts. Complete disintegration. So that was breaching a destroyer in Xenonauts 2, but that was basically the guy. So just to put it into perspective, I'll just explain what's going on here. So he throws a grenade, opens it up, but he's standing right in front, and then this guy with his energy weapon, or at the back there, fires at him, and that's you don't come back from that.
Who was that one?
Anyway, that's. That was really funny, actually. I wasn't expecting that. That was, that was so. There, like sometimes when the people fall in Xenonauts, you can bring them back, but it's not very often. Whereas in Jagged Alliance, you can rescue them when they first go unconscious. You can actually sort of bring them back. So there isn't the permadeath in Jagged Alliance seems a lot more forgiving, but you can play it in a mode where it does become more difficult. So you can set your own sort of own choice as to how you want to play the game, which is in Jagged Alliance with the different sort of settings. Okay, so Subical's saying so to battle mode. From what I've seen, Jagged Alliance 3 is 90% tactics, turn-based strategy and 10% everything else. You can clearly see where the focus is. Yeah, and what they've done is they've really tried to make it so that one thing I like is the pacing, and I don't remember much about Jagged Alliance 1 and 2. I don't remember if there was a real-time aspect to the game ever, or if it was always just turn-based. No, I just can't recall. But one thing I like about the real-time aspect of Jagged Alliance 3 is that you can move into position relatively quickly, so you're giving orders all the time, which means that you get into the actual turn-based fairly fast. Whereas I just can't recall. I think it did. I think Jagged Alliance 2 did actually have a real-time aspect, but I just can't remember it. I certainly can remember at the end of battle you could then move around everywhere fairly quickly. So Silbical's saying there's better ways of managing it. War Tales does it very well. I haven't been able to play War Tales. I did actually approach the devs, but never heard back. Fishpilot saying, I'm curious to see how the air combat overhaul is going with Xenonauts 2. Yeah, look, it's playable, the air combat in Xenonauts 2. It looks, for me, it looked like it was actually done when I actually was looking at it, but it keeps on coming up saying it's not ready yet, so I'm not sure when that will be. But it's certainly, you can certainly play it. It's the less forgiving than just doing the auto though. So I just do the auto now. So Battle Mode saying AI could surprise you in Jagged Alliance 2 because it had a working line of sight mechanic. You got the same thing in Jagged Alliance 3, the line of sight. You actually have an aspect there where you can sort of see exactly what's going on. It's like Age of Wonders games as well, I guess, to a degree. And same with Xenonauts as well. Xenonauts has got it shows you exactly what you're hitting when you actually are trying to move, and what the percentages are as well. God, there's so many good games coming out at the moment. And yeah, Roger's then saying there is an option for Permadeath, also Iron Man as well. And Ben's then saying, I think the Jagged Alliance 3 will be fine if you've never played the older Jagged Alliance games and enjoy Fear XCOM. It's yeah, I like this a lot more than XCOM, like a hell of a lot more. Jagged Alliance. XCOM I never really warmed to. I just didn't like the RNG aspect to it, and that's another thing that they were very mindful of with not giving percentage to hit. And as I say, there is a mod that they released themselves straight away, and I did actually install the mod, and I do prefer the mod playing with the percentages and without it. But it doesn't feel like XCOM to me. It still feels very much like Jagged Alliance. So William is saying, is X2 less punishing? Never got into X1 because I got hammered consistently. Prefer to have characters that stick around longer. It's still just as brutal, but it's how you play the game. Xenonauts 2, I think with the Xenonauts games, you run the risk with those sort of games of actually thinking, if I get this shot, and I'm gonna then get rid of that threat, and so you stay in the fight for longer than you need to. I think you're better off almost pulsing the way that you set up the attacks. Certainly, the more I've played Xenonauts 2, the more I've realised that I've got to play cautiously and know I think the trick is knowing when to go in for the actual kill. So it's still just as punishing, but it's how you play it. But I think the thing for me, the difference between Xenonauts 1 and Xenonauts 2 is just how interesting the game actually is, so how much more interesting. Xenonauts 2 has just got so, every battle feels very, very different, whereas in Xenonauts 1 it always felt the same. But yeah, no, it is still, you are going to be losing characters, very much so. But I find the balance of that pretty good, I've got to say, in Xenonauts 2. So it hasn't bothered me like it did in Xenonauts 1. My main problem with Xenonauts 1 was just how similar every single battle was, whereas in Xenonauts 2 I don't feel that at all. So the Rizukwas is saying, I played Jagged Alliance 2 1.13 a lot. There are a few things I miss, like line of sight or camo. I like the writing more in Jagged Alliance 3. The setting is more immersive to the theme. Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's I haven't played Jagged Alliance 2 for so long, so long. Hi, Chirank, how you going? And Thor is then saying, yeah, same here. I also stopped at Xenonauts 1 because of that. It's if you play into cover Like you've also now got other equipment you can bring along earlier. For example, you've got like this Mars robot thing. So if you're worried about losing your guys, go in with that and then bring that one back out a bit, and then just leave the others for reaction fire. So the reaction fire, and it's been a while since I've played Xenonauts 1, but it's certainly, you can certainly play cautiously and play well with Xenonauts 2. I think it's only if you rush in that you've really got problems, and so you've got to be a bit careful with that. So there's certainly ways of playing it. All right, so Sorbical saying to William, there's definitely a power curve in Xenonauts 2, and if you fall too far behind, you get spanked. However, it's not as severe as Xenonauts 1. Yeah, I don't remember much about Xenonauts 1. I know that I'm absolutely loving Xenonauts 2. Like I've really hard to put my finger on why I like it so much more than Xenonauts 1. I think I've already played Xenonauts 2 a lot more than what I have Xenonauts 1 the whole time I had Xenonauts 1. I mean, I can have a look and see. I think it'll tell me what my lifetime playthrough of Xenonauts actually was. We'll just get rid of that. So Xenonauts, yeah, I only played Xenonauts, the original one. I thought I played it a lot more than 18 hours. That's all I played it for, and I last played that in 2016. So that was so I hardly played this at all, and I think I just got frustrated with it. I played it a little bit, but it felt this, even after 18 hours, it felt the same. Xenonauts 2, I've played already double that. So, so I've got like double the time in Xenonauts 2 and still absolutely loving it. So it's sort of, I don't know. Like for me, it's, I'm surprised I only played it that amount of time. I would have thought I would have played it close to 50 hours, just the way it felt. Maybe I just got bored with it, but it is really quite cool. The Xenonauts 2. The way it sort of does work. Now, if that is coming out, I wonder what the price is. I mean, one of you was saying it was going to be about $30 US, which would be about right. I mean, it really does it's got a lot of content, which is awesome. Let's have a look and see. What have I missed? You must have saying perhaps the Streamload mod support could see changes to the campaigns and no more parallel quest lines, the main ones like the cleaners. Yeah, I don't know actually. I don't know what the plans are for the modding. I really like the cleaner campaign because you can play through that pretty quickly in the game, and it gives you something really interesting to play. So the cleaners are a really good addition, and it would be great to see even more of that style of content coming into the game, just because it is quite different the way it sort of does work. Okay, so Thor is in saying, I've heard that in Jagged Alliance 3 you can just spray with bullets and suppress the enemies because you never have, that you can't just spray with bullets and suppress the enemies because you'd never have enough ammo. Yeah, I haven't had any trouble with the ammo that I've got so far. I think that the game is, the Jagged Alliance I think will end up, and I'm still in the last, I guess the end of the early game would be sort of how I would sort of describe where I am with the game. I have run out of some bullets, but it's, the idea I think ultimately is to get to a position where you can then go and build your own ammunition and have like one person dedicated in their own squad sitting in one of the safe areas building what you need built. So just bring one of the mechs. You've got a few mechanicals in Jagged Alliance 3, and I think ultimately that's where you'd end up, is just pushing one of those into that sort of role of just building equipment. So again, I certainly have I haven't felt like I've had to really sort of constrain what I'm doing with the ammunition. For me, the balance feels really good with it so far from what I've played. Hi Rogue, how you going? And so Thor is then saying Permadeath gives the game that sense of risk versus reward that save scumming doesn't. Yeah, the game again, you've got different switches you can turn on. If you don't like save scumming, you can certainly play it that way. And when I'm learning the game, I like to save scum games, particularly because it does give you an idea as to how to approach games. I think it's the fastest way to learn a game is to save scum. So Rizuk was saying, I'm playing in the hardest difficulty in Jagged Alliance 3. I think ammo amount is good enough. You just have to invest time for ammo. One of my squad only provides logistical support, training and crafting. There we go. That's, I think, is ultimately going to be what you have to do. And I think that to get there, you need to then manage your money. I think money is much more difficult in Jagged Alliance 3 than Jagged Alliance, the other Jagged Alliances. So that sort of becomes also a bit more of an issue. For me, the money has been the biggest issue, actually. So Battleman's saying typical UFO. I'm not sure what that one was about. So Thor is saying, but on the other hand, losing just one fight can ruin your entire game. Yeah, that's when it is permadeath. That's the trouble with any of these sort of games, to be honest. But that's where I think that Jagged Alliance 3, it's not like a Battle Brothers game where when you lose, you really have lost. In Jagged Alliance 3, it feels a lot more forgiving in that sense, and so the balance of it feels better. That's one of the reasons I don't particularly like playing Battle Brothers, because I just find it so difficult to sort of work your way through that particular game, and you lose one fight and it's basically game over, which I don't like. Whereas I think in Jagged Alliance 3 they've done this quite well. And similarly also in Xenonauts 2, like Xenonauts 2, you've really got to then approach the game with a mindset of trying to develop up a big team of people, like where you're switching people in and out to raise everyone up to the highest level that they all can get to, rather than just having like an A team, because when you lose one of your A team members, you're going to rage quit or save scum, one of the two. Okay, so Oliver is saying in Jagged Alliance 3, can you turn the voice audio off? Yes, it's on its own slider. You can just sort of wind it down, I think. I don't know if you can actually switch it off as such, so that it sort of skips past the dialogue, etc. I'm pretty sure you can do it with the with just the there's an audio slider if you don't want to have it there. Okay, so just reading, I'll just go past all of those where you guys are just talking amongst yourselves. Subical saying it's just a different experience. I'm guessing, but at least you can choose which way you want to play it. Roger's saying, I remember in Jagged Alliance 1 and 2, entering the sector was real-time until combat, just like Jagged Alliance 3. Also real-time on the strategic map in Jagged Alliance 2. Not sure about Jagged Alliance 1. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I remember at the end of a battle, it went into like a mode where you could wander around and look at things. Actually, one thing I didn't realise until I was playing it, live streaming it the other day, I was pressing the Alt key, then highlights all of the hidden stuff. Like when you discover it, it then just shows up on the map. So that's my default position now, is just to press the Alt key as soon as I go into a sector. That's a really, really nice little keyboard tip. I don't know who actually told me that. It was in the chat. Someone said, "Oh, press Alt," and it really made such a difference. It was actually really awesome. Legit Spoon saying there's no random maps in Xenonauts 2, only a limited, albeit large, set. Does that not trouble you? No, I don't know if is it always. I know that the bases and things are always preset, but I thought that the actual locations were tile sets where it would randomize the tiles. So I thought it had limited randomization. But then it's also then got random positions for the different aliens, so you still have to go through and still deal with aliens. So at the end of the day, with that particular one in Xenonauts, it really comes down to an alien is in a spot where you've either got like partial cover or full cover that either you're dealing with or they're dealing with, and it's then a matter of how you then focus on it. So if the alien is even in a different position on the map somewhere else, it's still going to mean something that you're going to have to you still have to deal with the actual threat in a meaningful way. So the lack of real random maps doesn't bother me so much in Xenonauts, and similarly Jagged Alliance, every map is crafted, but it still works well. It still just works well. So I'm sort of happy. I'm happy with what I'm getting with both games, to be honest. Even though I really do love my random maps, it's I'm not at all worried about that aspect. So somehow Legit Spoon has done something that Nightbot has then deleted every single one of your messages. Sorry. At least we answered that one. So you've done something. You've done something terrible. Okay, so it was only over caps. I'm gonna have to look at Nightbot. I don't know why. It's really, really draconian. So my apologies about Nightbot. But it's the way that we do our giveaways. so we got to put up with Nightbot just to get the giveaways done. Okay, so hi Genoise, how you going? So Sorbical saying the one that annoyed me is the Terra mission always being the same town map. Okay, yeah, look, they're always those sorts of cleaner type things. Yeah, it would be good if they could clean them, if they could have them sort of working different ways as well. Now, where are we up to? So, Jimmison saying, yeah, it's a legit spin. It's true. Procedural maps would be a nice addition. Perhaps we have to see in Xeno 2. I haven't worried about it so much. And Fish Pilot saying cleaners are a great idea. It would be great. In need of Xeno 2 adds more X-File type stuff. It is a good addition because it gives you something to do in the early game that isn't just the same low-level aliens that you're fighting, and it does mix it up really quite nicely. And so Larson saying underwater DLC for Xenonauts 2 would be fine as well. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Terror from the Deep says Fish Pilot. So and Sorbical saying, yeah, everyone wants the Terror from the Deep remake. Okay, so just scrolling back down. So Noble Terror saying, sorry, just get here. What's this about Dom 6? And Gary Sin saying, yes. So what are your speculations for Dom 6? Actually, let's go through that. And thanks to Ben for actually on my Discord for highlighting, or Battle Mode for highlighting that an announcement of sorts has come through. So let's go back in and have a look at that one. I'll just do that one in the actual page. So I think we've had enough of Jagged Alliance 2 and Xenonauts 2. But they are the big games, I guess, this week. So this is all we know at this stage. Now, it's funny because I looked it up. I was trying to find as much information as I possibly could about about Dominion 6, because this is the announcement. And so this was just put into general discussions. If I just go back in, there will be, you can see there's been a lot of interaction through here. Dominion 6 announcement by Christopher. So this is one of the devs at Illwinter. And so this is it. This is all we know. There was a drop of information 7 months ago. That was the only other piece of information I could find where he hinted that they're going to be looking at changing the UI. And so people on Reddit started speculating. I don't think I've got the Reddit post. Actually, where is it? When we look back, yeah, Dom 6 confirmed. This was back from December, where people have been asking about it, but this one was where Christopher again had sort of had hinted that there was most core mechanics will probably remain, and user interface might change. So they've been working on it for quite some time, but they've just been keeping it really close to their chest. So we'll have a read through, but I don't think we then get much more information. So, hi all, we would like to announce the development of Dominion 6 is well underway. We expect the game to be released at the end of the year, which I'm trying to think of when they did their Dom 5. I think that was in December. I know, because I did some videos for it before it actually released, like some tutorial type videos, and so I had access to it, and I was away at Christmas at the time, so I had to sort of, it may have been early in the whichever year Dom 5 came out. It may have been sort of like, it may have been just after Christmas. So I think it really is like the end of the year that they're sort of aiming at. When compared to earlier iterations of the game, this one has more changes than any previous version. That's interesting, both mechanics-wise and UI / quality of life-wise. It's funny because Dom 5 really did a lot. It actually did change the quality of life aspect a lot. The game is already in good shape and most major changes are implemented. We intend to add more stuff in the upcoming months. A Steam page will appear shortly where more details will be presented. So that's all we get. Battle Mode saying Dom 5 was late 2017. Yeah, so it's, I think, there we go, Dom 5 is 27th of November. Right, okay. In that case, I know that, because I know that I was, I was doing the I did sort of like the official tutorial video for it, like where I had to try to present it in a single video what it was, like what Dom 5 actually was. It was really hard, and so I was in Melbourne, which is where our family is, and so we were and I was playing on a little laptop trying to figure out the best way of actually doing the video before I then came back to my main computer here where I live in Queensland, and it was we must have been down there more mid-year than not, because so if it was in November, I just assumed I was down there for Christmas, but I mustn't have been. But it was it's interesting actually what they're sort of saying through there. So what could they change with mechanics? I really don't know. When you talk about mechanics wise, the mind boggles actually. It really does boggle as to what mechanics they could possibly change. The only thing I can think of, I go into the battle system. Like, are they going to make the battle system somehow more interaction during the actual battles themselves? But I think that would then kill the multiplayer aspect of the game. So I don't know if they could do it. One thing I think, like if you had a game like Dominions that actually used some of the mechanics from a game like Mechabellum, I think that you'd end up with a really, really awesome, like that battle system could actually do a lot with the mechanics of Mechabellum, I reckon. That would be, if they did that, that would be just incredible. But I don't know if they could do that. And so the Razuka is saying, I'm really curious about Dominion 6. I really wanted to get into it, but the UI and presentation are very unlikable to me. Yet I still must have watched hours of gameplay. It's an intriguing game for sure. It is one of the best strategy games ever built. It really is, and it's the way it plays out. The fact that you're going into an auto battler is also interesting, but you can script so much. And I think when you first start to play any Dominions game, it is a bit off-putting as a new player because you don't understand the scripting system all that well. The game also changes mid-game. From a fairly, just when you get a feel for how the scripting is working in your game, the world will then sort of have evolved to a point where your scripting that you were using is no longer viable, which is really quite interesting. Okay, so Rote's then saying there's some additional tidbits in the comments of that thread, like visual graphics for rituals, etc. Oh, okay. So diplomacy for AI factions is my only desire, says Battle Mode. Yeah, again, I don't know if I guess that would be cool to make it more of a role play type aspect, I guess. But again, I don't really mind it. Battle Mode saying that Lucid did a Dom 6 wishlist video. Watch that. Winter will very likely implement much of it. Oh, okay, I haven't seen that. Gary's saying, I think that they will change Bless and Pretender mechanics, perhaps more detailed terrain similar to COE. Yeah, I think that Conquest of Elysium, they certainly will borrow anything they've learnt from that, I would think. And Battlemoon saying, I wouldn't expect big changes to the user interface. It'll be an iteration rather than a redesign. I think so too. I think that they added so much quality of life stuff into Dom 5 anyway. Like all of the combat logs and things like that are amazing in that you can see every single piece of information in the game itself if you're wanting to delve that deep. So Battlemode's saying Dominion's combat is amazing. It is for people who like it. And Thor is saying I love the auto battler. Yeah, but I think if you look at the auto battler system, like from what Mechabellum has got, I don't know, like the Mechabellum auto battler I'm just blown away by how good that actually is. And I also don't think that actually Battleman's saying no about what. Not sure what that's about. So Bennett's saying diplomatic for AI means single player becomes fun because you're not locked in a permanent war forever once war is declared. Oh yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, so you can sort of at least end a war. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind so much about the way the AI plays, to be honest. And I actually like playing against the AI in the game. Like, it does mean that you have to sort of go all out once you do actually come to blows with an enemy. Yeah, and I guess also the thinking of the AI could be better. Yeah, Dominions did auto battle as before it was cool, says Sithil, and that's true, they did. I think one of the things that people struggle with is also the graphics in Dominions, but I can't see them changing that. I think that the whole graphics system. It's funny actually. If we go and have a look, I don't know if I've still got DOM 5 on my computer. I don't think I do. I don't think I will. Common. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have gotten rid of it. Oh no, I do have Dominions 5 in there. Oh, sorry, no, Dominions 4. I was looking at Dominions 4. Now in the next one, there is actually when you have a look at the graphics, they use really unoptimized graphics in the game itself. So you've got like target files, which tend to be very large files for what they are. It's a bit like Dwarf Fortress did the same thing where they were using bitmap files for stuff, and you're thinking, what the hell? No one uses bitmap files. And target files also, there's so much better ways than using target files now. Target files are an old format that we used. Like you've got TIFF and targets essentially, but then they're not really a web-based sort of thing. You can see so much of this is just target files that they've used, which is really antiquated. So I'm hoping that they get rid of, like from a modding / graphics perspective, I hope they ditch all of the targets and replace them with ping files. And similarly with the actual graphics themselves, like if we look at, I'm not sure where we'll find it. I'm not sure where we actually find the actual units themselves. Yes, even the maps were all target files. Like when you had to create a map, you had to then create a target file. Linux, yeah, it's not going to have it. I don't know where the actual units are. I think that they're all inside other areas, like other files, like some sort of unlockable area. But certainly when you mod the game, and I don't actually have any mods installed, I don't think, in here. If I do, I'm not sure exactly where that would actually end up being. It's very hard to find where the mods actually are. If you go to workshop and content, it's just numbers, so it's very hard to find anything in here. I'll just do a search for DOM. Did I not find it? No. Anyway. That's all right. I won't go searching for it. But they did change in DOM 5 from either bitmap files. I think it was bitmap that they had to use, because the way that they actually would get rid of the alpha channel was have like a full magenta color, and that was the only way that you actually then got your. It was really awkward modding content for Dominions 4 and before. Dominions 5, then I think it did introduce ping files. So hopefully they do better with the graphics, but I don't think they will. So I would not assume that the graphics will change much at all. I think they'll be the same sort of thing. In fact, we may be able to see it with Conquest of Elysium, because that may be a bit more exposed. Let's have a quick look. Steam apps, common. Are we going to find the data? Yeah, it's all just, see, this is still, yeah, this is where they've got some units where they've got ping files, but they're still using the target files, which is just so old. But will they change? Probably not. So they've got the icons, this is where they've got a BMP file, and I don't even know what this will open up. If I open that one up, yeah, it doesn't even like the. Actually, I'll just open it up in Photos. Will that have the purple? Actually, that one does have an alpha channel by the looks of things, so which is unusual for BMP files. But the BMP, that's 64. What's this one here? That's 6. So when they use BMP files, they end up being monstrously big. Like so this is the same size file, and you won't see any difference in the look of it. In fact, the ping file should be better quality. than the BMP. So I hope that they bring everything across to pings. This is just the icons for the actual game itself, but the BMP was where they were, and target files are where they were, which is sort of target files again are difficult to. You've got to open them up basically in a full-on graphics program to be able to actually look at them. So it's not great. Anyway, that's so I'm hoping that they will do that one. Now, sorry guys, I'm missing a lot of stuff in through here. Where do we go out there? Just go back up to where I've missed everything. Okay, so Oliver's saying, how would diplomacy work when your pretender intrinsically wants to spread dominion automatically? It's not. I can see it like diplomatically. You can still actually sort of do things in a sneaky way. So I think it would still work. So in that sort of sense, the diplomacy is not like spread of dominions is not overt. Like it's covert. It can be covert as well. And so covert would then sort of lead to diplomacy being an interesting aspect. But then you'd have to take into account the spread of your dominion. So if you're not aware of the way that dominion plays and why it's called dominions, you've got essentially dominion is the on the map itself. I'll just show you if I can find a screen. We'll just go across there, and I'll just get it so we can sort of look at the actual. Try to find the actual Dominions 5 Warriors of the Faith. It's an expensive game. I mean, when you look at it in terms of what it is, it's a niche game. So this is the auto battler system. These are the different sorts of characters that you then end up getting. These are the different sorts of gods that you end up sort of forming. Now that's just go back in through and just see if we can find a map mode. So this is the auto battler in place, where you've got like there's all sorts of different spells that you then sort of script before they come in. The actual the information you get from the battles is really, really good. So you can figure out exactly why you lost or won a particular battle, so you can sort of then do something about it. Now that's the spell system. The bless effects, again, that's a really, really cool system. We're not going to see Dominion in there so much. You do start off with Dominion when you are building a god. So there's so many different aspects, but it's called Dominion because it's the spread of belief. Different magic paths, and again, these have got dramatic impact on the game, which I think is why the game is so hard for new players to pick up. Now, this one here, this is the Dominion here, the candles. And so when you have an area selected, the idea is to actually then have your what your belief, like this is like the belief in the actual game, and so you're trying to spread dominion as much as you can. It actually makes the combat easier for you where there's belief in the local population. So as it goes through, so there's different random maps, magic sites. And then, of course, the different AIs and the so this is actually of course the modded maps and the different characters there. Every unit, this is the log file. It's going to be, I don't know where they're going to improve it. To be honest, it's already a great game. Just trying to find where it's got the actual Dominion to sort of show it. There is a map mode. And there really are unlimited strategies. This is actually when you play against really good players, they twist the way that the game can be played just through the scripting in the auto battlers, and it really is amazing to come up against somebody who really knows the game well. Which is why some factions are much easier to play than others. And it is the deepest strategy game of all time. I think it would have to. I think that would be very true. Okay, that's. I'm just trying to find where it's got dominions. The actual dominion itself. Yeah, this is probably a good map to sort of show. It's a bit hard to sort of see it in here. I don't know if I can zoom in. No, I can't really sort of go any further than this one here. That's the dominion there, the candles. And so as you push the dominion out, but you've then got other hidden characters that can then go and sort of sneak into other territory to then push your dominion back out further. And so with the map modes themselves, you can see through here that this particular player, so this particular player in through this side, there's a siege happening, I think, in there. But no, it's not. That's just a massive army. There's so there must be a spy, for example, in here. Now the spies can also then spread your dominion. The actual border that you see there is your dominion border, not the actual border that you control. This player here also controls these two territories, but the dominion only spreads this far. And so if you lose all dominion, then basically means that your god everyone has lost belief in your god. So you are ultimately trying to protect your dominion. But so diplomatically, I guess a long way of sort of saying that one. I think that diplomatically, I think you'd still have a diplomatic system, and it not being a problem, if that makes any sort of sense. So it's, but it's sort of weird, like the way the borders actually are the dominion borders, not the actual, like, because for example, this one here is also part of their territory, but it's somebody else's dominion. So somebody controls a dominion in that particular location. But God, it's a good game. It's just an incredible game with everything that's actually in it. There's so many different ways of playing it. There are easy ways to play the game as well. Like if you are new to the game, if you're interested in, I'm guessing if they've now made the announcement for Dominion 6, this possibly will become a cheaper version of the game to play. Also, by the way, when Dominions 5 did come out, people that played or had Dominions 4 were really thinking, what am I really getting? Why is it worth getting Dominions 5? And it really was. Like it's an amazing game. So I would say that Dominion 6, if you're sort of thinking of like if you're gonna hold out for, like if you're thinking of getting Dominions and thinking, should I hold out for Dominion 6 or should I just wait for Dominions, like just get Dominions 5 when it goes on special? I would hold out for Dominion 6 personally, just based on the experience with Dominions 5, like from 4 to 5. 5 was so much better polished, and if they're polishing it again up, and it didn't look that way. And I think so many of these sort of games, you don't like. Xenonauts 2 is a bit the same. It's really hard to put your finger on why it's so much better, but it was a massive leap forward from Dominions 4, just in terms of what it does. And there'll be people that still argue that it wasn't, but it's in my perspective, I think it was awesome. And if Dominion 6 actually has got the same sort of attention put into it, then I think it'd be better to wait for that than jump in if you haven't got Dominions already at that sort of stage, unless you really want to be playing it in the next few months. So yeah, where are we up to? So long answer to a short question. Okay, so yeah, so I think that diplomacy could work well with opening up opportunities for the spread of dominion through subterfuge. Okay, so Serenity saying the main thing I want is better AI. I don't really care for multiplayer anymore. Yeah, I find, yeah, look, I know what you mean. Yeah, I still find it can still be tricky against the AI, but it's not like once you get used to the game, it does very quickly become something that you can understand. Sizzle's saying, I think the graphics could improve while staying in the style of Dominions games. The sprites are all over the place, but the good-looking ones really look nice. Yes, and I think that, again, it comes back down to this BMP/ping. I wish I could show you the difference, because the old game, I wonder if I've got it. Actually, no, I don't think I've got anything on this computer that would actually show it. The old way of creating the sprites, it didn't have any what's called alpha, like an alpha channel. It didn't actually have a way of smoothing off the edges. It was pixel graphics back in the earlier versions, like DOM 4 and before. It literally was, there was no melding of anything. I think that DOM 5 did allow ping files to be then used for the graphics, which then do allow for much better graphics. So, but with Dominions, there's only two states for any particular unit. There's a striking state, and then there's basically the standing state. I think there may be a death state as well, but they're the only, like, there's not really a lot in the animation, which is why it's so easy to mod. So I don't think they're going to change the graphics over, like, in any major way, but I just wish that they would just do more with pings and stuff like that. I think it would actually still work out pretty well. Yeah, what did we get up to there? Yep. So I think the graphics improve while staying the style of Dominion's games. The sprites are all over the place. Yep, I've done that one. And so Freelancer is saying maybe a map and UI graphical update, but the units are fine. They do their job. Yeah, look, I think that would we want more states in what they're doing? I don't know. There could even be something, for example, like where you end up with something where it shows better if they're defensive. It could be that the weaponry changes somehow. I'm not sure. It's really be interesting to sort of see how it goes. Okay, Jenison saying that's the issue with the diplomacy in single player. I think the whole idea of the game is to become the only one god, so diplomacy with other pretenders feels out of character. Yeah, I don't know. I think that aspect doesn't worry me so much. Jemison saying hoping for a multiplayer server browser or something that makes it less of a hassle than DOM 5. That would be interesting. That would be good, actually. So Sorbical saying, Daz, before I forget, David Warner for the 4th test, yes or no? Oh, that's a hard one. I would probably err on the side of no at this stage, personally. David Warner's the opening batsman for Australia, and he hasn't performed in the Ashes series so far. So, but he's done okay. Actually, it's a bit of a 50-50 there. Battle Mode saying, will they never change the sprite-based graphics? Sorry, they will never change the sprite-based graphics. Christopher hand-painted them all himself by hand. It's 20 plus years of work. They won't erase that. They won't erase it, but they can improve it. And they sort of have a little bit with certain things. That's where if they went back to their original graphics that they've actually got in those BMP type files, they particularly with AI, they'd be able to tweak those graphics to a point where it would take very little amount of work to be able to bring them up to something that actually does look better. And so I don't think it would be as onerous a problem as it may first appear. So Marla was saying, my hope for DOM 6 revolves around an expanded single-player experience. Yeah, that would be good. I would like that. Jemison saying, and more thematic indies would be cool. So Conquest, Elysium 5, Empire, and Monarch indies give so much flavour to the game. Yeah, it would be interesting actually, and I think when you play some of the mods that were done for DOM 5 and DOM 4 as well, there were some really good mods that actually did make the world so much more interesting than what it ever was in the vanilla game. Like there's some really good mods that do very cool things like that. So that would be great. Gary Oak saying, how many new nations will with the release of DOM 6 and which kind of nations? I think it will be the same nations, to be honest. I can't say. They're going to have to add a couple, but so there'll probably be a handful. I would think that they'd add in, but I don't know what type. I know that they do a lot of research on the nations that they do bring in. So, I mean, to be honest, I would love to see a and it's never going to happen, but I would love to see a themed version of it. I would love to see Lord of the Rings races in there, as in just a Lord of the Rings age, with all of the Lord of the Rings factions, except the halflings, of course. But no, that would be good to just have it so that it's more cohesive to a region of the world or a region of mythology. So maybe like a full-blown sort of Eastern mythology game as well. Like that would be very cool to be able to sort of, I think, just play a particular style of game if you're wanting to be themed that way, rather than having like different mythology from all over the world. I think that would be quite nice. And yeah, so in that sort of sense, but I don't know if they would ever do that. It's funny because I really want a Lord of the Rings style of Field of Glory. For me, that would be awesome to actually have a Lord of the Rings in Field of Glory, but it'll never happen. So where are we up to? We've got the been saying if you've played multiplayer Dominions 5, it's hard to go back to single player because of that loss of diplomacy. It is, yeah, that's true. Sorry, it keeps on skipping away from me, guys. What's the music in the background? I'm not sure what I got on actually. Must be on Steam. I must have my Steam. Oh, Xenonauts. I think it was Xenonauts that was kept on playing. I'll just go into a different area. All right. Okay. So now where is it? Sorry, God, I'm so far back in the chat. Yep. So Battlemate saying the Art of Dominions is beautifully well done, particularly the more recent sprites they did. Yeah, Sithel saying BMP is the worst ever. It really is. And they were building. Dominion should have changed to ping files decades ago. Really, it really should have been decades ago, but it wasn't. They stuck with the BMPs for a long period of time. So Marlon saying, yeah, I love the DOM/COE graphics personally. Look, I like the style. I just don't like the way that. Like the constraint of using BMP. And look, Dwarf Fortress was the same as well. Dwarf Fortress had made some really weird decisions. That's now changing, I think. So Cecil's saying, I did not even know BMP could have alpha channels. Must be a newish thing. Yeah, I'm not sure, actually. I didn't think it could either. I'm surprised that it's showing up with an alpha channel as a BMP file. So Maker is saying, hey, Daz, good to catch you live. Yeah, welcome. And so... and hi, Garatian. Okay, so as the is the sound stored as Wave? I'm not sure actually. I wouldn't be surprised. To say not a god, a pretender god. There we are. The only true god is a pretender of Agartha, says Jamison. And so Thor is in saying the overview of spells is absolutely horrible, and the way of moving units across the map is atrocious, says Thor as well. And Oliver's then asking how so. It is slow. It does move. The movement is very slow. Having said that, when you play a multiplayer game, the movement is super tense. It really is super tense when you are playing multiplayer with not knowing if your characters or with an army, A, is going to be strong enough by the time it actually reaches a location, and B, it's even got the movement points to get there in time to actually be meaningful. And that's really quite interesting. So I don't mind the movement in the game itself. It doesn't get any faster. It just stays what it actually is. It can get faster. You can get like flying units and so on and so forth. Yep. So Thor is saying the idea of the game is wonderful. The lore is amazing. It's incredible what they've done. You can always add more, like 200 spells and 400 more units. The number of factions and units is completely bewildering. How long to figure out the strategic possibilities with those kind of numbers, says Roger. That's very true, and I think that also then pushes people away. I think that if you are new to any Dominions game, just play as Ulm in the Middle Age, and that's I think the easiest way to learn the game is to just play as Ulm, because you're not really playing with very many spells, and you are playing pretty one-dimensionally in that sort of sense. You don't have a real lot of things to do. And another good way to play Dominions, actually I'll fire it up. It's been a long time since I fired up Dominions. Where are you? There we are. One interesting way of playing Dominions, if you are concerned with the AI, is play like an AI. So if we go to create world, and we'll just go to a random map as an example, we'll just leave all these on. And probably already got one called test. I usually do. Yep, so delete the game. So Middle Ages, just go that way. Don't play with too many players, and just the AI. You'll find that the AI will seem easy to beat if you are new to the game, except if you if you go into the different difficulties. Now, play on easy initially. You will find it fairly easy, I think. Normal is actually okay until you get close to their capital, and then it becomes quite hard. So just be aware that when you go after a capital, it is a completely different kettle of fish that you're then fighting against. The nation that you want to have in through here is middle-aged Ulm. So it's usually up near the top. This is the Forges of Ulm. That's probably the easiest of them, I think. Some of the other ones like Marignon is actually fairly good as well, just these human sort of type kingdoms. But this one here is almost like a dwarf type kingdom in one sort of sense. So the Forges of Ulm, just click on OK. Then you've got this whole big mix of things that just goes through. This is one thing I liked about Dominions 5. It did actually sort of explain. You can sort of see everything about the actual units themselves, what they do. But without even worrying too much about it, like you do have a lot of different sort of units, but they're all pretty mundane. Just click on OK. When it comes time to building your god, like there's so many choices and they are so wildly different. But one thing you can do is just press the R key. Just press R for random. Bang, there we go. We've got ourselves a bit of a rainbow type thing. We've got and it will then just set everything up for you. And this is sort of like more like what an AI will end up having. So you can sort of come back in without actually having to really worry too much about what's happening. And if you don't like it, just press R again until you get one that you do want. Have a read through, see what it's actually choosing for you. It's a really fast way to get into the game. Actually, that's got a lot of... that's a rainbow mage in through here. You sort of then pick and choose. This one specialises in death and nature. Fire, astral. Yeah, massive astral, massive fire in this side. So and once you've done that, just click on OK, and you're in. You're into the game. It's a very quick, easy way to actually get into a game without agonising through the actual creation, and it's a nice, quick way to learn the game back in through there. I'll just get out of this as soon as we get in there. I think the map graphics could also be improved a lot. It's very dark and dull. Just exit. So it's. I think that the actual graphic style could definitely be improved in the actual game. But that would be then the start of a game where you're playing as Ulm, which, as I say, is fairly one-dimensional overall. This is that Dominion that we're sort of seeing in through here. Dominion, you've got the different sort of candles, which are map filters. Dominion candles, that way you can sort of see how much Dominion you actually have. So we're only just starting to sort of push the Dominion back out at this early part of the game, but it's but Ulm is a nice easy one to actually then go and play. But if you're unsure, just press the R key, and that way you'll sort of see what is generated for you randomly. Quit without saving. There we go. Quit that as well. There we go. So good old Dom 5. What did I get up to in the chat? Just scoot on through. Hi Pickle Father, how you going? Rippenholzer saying Dom 1, 2, 3, 4 had such nice music though. With Dom 5 switched to professional music, it made the game much worse for me, both to watch and to listen to. Yeah, it's funny, but when it launched, people were on both sides of that. I liked it. And Rippenholzer saying I hope they go back to the old music in Dom 6. Yeah, I don't know if they will. It's sort of, I know that you get nostalgic about these sorts of things. It's like, again, Dwarf Fortress. I compare, there's so many similarities in the development process of Dwarf Fortress and Dominions. Just, two brothers, the whole thing, when you start to sort of, same area of the world that they sort of had developed it from, same time frame as well, like, that they've sort of been able to build these sort of games up from. But it's, and I think nostalgia is a big part of these games as well for a lot of people. But I don't know, it's sort of I don't know how much they'd have to change it to bring in a whole new audience. I think it would just still be pretty much the same style of audience, I would think, all the way through, even with the Dom 6. Okay, let's have a look. Do we get to the bottom of the list? Almost. We have to skim past. I'll just skim past all of them so we just catch back up. So Pickle Father's in saying the Black Steel of Alma is great. Yeah, it's a really, really good way to learn the game, because you end up with a very, very strong... like, magic is not a major part of what you're doing. I mean, it's important, but not major. Thor is saying Dom's movement isn't too slow. It's just very hard to keep a coherent army moving a direction when you can't plan more than... Yeah, that's actually true. Yes, I know what you mean. Actually, no, you can't you give it orders to keep on tracking? But that is awkward, yes. And actually, Marlo was saying Pangaea is pretty beginner friendly as well. Yeah, that's true as well. You want anything strong. There's even a few of the newer factions, like Rus was another good one. That was a good beginner one. You want to. They're all very, very good. Thor is saying if you have units, they're going in different directions across the map. I completely lose overview. So Morib is saying Pangaea is complicated. I would advise more middle age Alm 2 or early age Femoria. Yeah, there's. I think that Pangaea is one of these ones where the units are fairly strong in themselves. So I think when you get strong units, it does make it easy-ish. And Pangaea, you tend to start to play a particular way. So you tend to play the way that you like to play, which I think is a good way to learn the game as well, is just to play the same over and over and over for a little while until you get used to it. Sithil saying Dad sure likes his random starts. It is a fun way to play the game. It's an easy... like that way you don't have to agonise over what's the best. One thing I find with all games, actually, is that people try to min-max absolutely everything, and it actually wrecks games. Like Dwarf Fortress is the same. So many people actually tell me that they love the idea of Dwarf Fortress. They may even buy a game, like a game of the complexity of Dwarf Fortress, but they never ever play it. But they'll watch people play it because they like watching it. They just don't like actually playing it. And I think it's because you go into these games with a mindset of min-maxing, and it takes away the magic of all games. So any game that you go in with that mindset, you're playing chess basically in that sort of instance. So I think that's a mindset that I always try to fight against, that mindset of min-maxing. It's good when you get used to a game to then try to get better at it, and then min-maxing then has a role, but I don't think it has a role at the start. That's why the Black Steel of Alm is great as a great starting one, because you don't have to. You can just play it your way, and you're going to do pretty well no matter what you do. Okay, so where are we up to? Okay, so I'm just skipping past a lot of these comments just so I can catch back up at the bottom there. One thing I've always wanted for Dominions 5 is other planes. I really wanted to conquer the other realms and build a multi-planar empire, says Pickle Father. That would be interesting as well. Make it massive, make it into a massive game. Okay, so Gino is saying, bad news, Daz. Dom 6 is a story campaign with handcrafted maps only. Yes. Okay, so Lawrence Andrews is saying, considering how long I've been around, strange I've never heard of the Dom series apart from Daz's channel. Dominions it's one of these games where people get scared of it, and but you don't have to. Like, it is actually a really, really cool game. Roger's saying, press R. Got it, yeah. Just R for random. And it really does make the games. You then get what the AI has got as well. So it's sort of the AI tends to start that way as well, I think. Thanks, Brian, for that super chat. Very much appreciated. Okay, so Roger is saying. So Oliver's saying, can you do waypoints for moving armies in Dom 5? So yeah, you can do waypoints for moving armies. Yes, so you can a bit, but you do want to interrupt them as well. So you do want that bit of interruption. So Battle Mode saying there's UI option for planning moving more than one province. Yep, I think middle-aged Alm might lead newbies into bad habits, thinking that national troops are strong. It gets you started, and that's all you need. I think is you just need that start just to get into the actual game itself. And Ulm is a good way to do that. And also, it does introduce fire magic. Like usually that's where you end up going with Ulm, is to start with fire. You then end up with the master smiths using their flaming spells in battle. So I think that you ease into using magic and all those sorts of things using Ulm better than nearly any other faction, I think. Certainly Pangaea, you do end up going more into magic, and you've got more choice with the way that you sort of approach it, but you've got limited choice with Ulm, which I think is a good way to start the game. Okay, so Aetherblade saying, hey, I don't know if it's been asked already, but I was just wondering, you've been putting out a lot of great tutorial series for various games lately. Do you plan on playing on a series for any? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which series to do next, actually. I do want to start recording this week on something. I don't know what, actually, to be honest. Maybe Airships, I think. But we'll talk about Airships in a minute as well. John Monkey saying, what's up, folks? Yeah, Daz has Battle for Wesnoth. I think I've had that since it first came out. On every system I own, I need to dust it off and play a game. Actually, let's talk about that as well after this. We'll do Dominions, then we'll do Battle for Wesnoth, because that's also has improved a lot in recent years, and that's actually worth having a bit of a look at. So they're saying, I like chess. Yeah, I do too. But chess is one of those things where the more you do min-max your understanding of chess, the more you enjoy chess. Whereas games like Dominions, yes and no, but I think the initially, when you're first trying to learn chess, you're not learning about controlling the board. You're not really you're just learning the way the pieces move. And Dominions has to be approached that way as well. You've got to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. And chess is one of those games where you do just learn, like when you first start playing chess, like you usually are playing with somebody who's just trying to get you used to how the pieces actually move around on the board. And Ulm is that. For me, I think Ulm is the perfect moving the pieces around type, and still being able to have fun with the game. Whereas some of the others are just, you end up needing to know too much stuff. Eddie Borgane saying Sombra has some excellent Warhammer mods, lots of races on the Dominions mod site. Yeah, I used to play them in Dom 4 actually, the Warhammer mods, and they were great. So I tend not to put too many of those mods into games that I play anymore, because usually with a game that's fairly niche like Dominions, I tend to try to show the vanilla races rather than actually new ones. But I do enjoy playing those. So so Brian, thanks again for that super chat. That's very, very much appreciated. Saying hi, Des. Thanks for the great videos. I always enjoy them and your perspective. Thanks for that. It's funny that min-maxing is something that so many games people don't play because of min-maxing. It's really, really quite funny. But I'm saying early age Niflheim, regen Nifl jars is a fun. Actually, any of those early giant ones as well. The Niflheim. Jotunheim, those Heims are good starts as well. They're quite easy because of the strength. And so this is saying, I like late age Ulm because of vampires. There we go. And so Voodoo Dog saying Shadow Empire super hard mode or something thrilling. Ben saying, and Daz, once I agree, you just play single player Dominions in a non min-max way, play to have fun. You do have many crazy things in that game. Yes, yeah. And Jamison saying late age Ulm has vampires. I never ventured into late age, but that sounds amazing. It's amazing how much the ages change. Like Ermor, the transition of Ermor across the ages is incredible. Ermor becomes the Roman Empire at the start, and then becomes like a sort of an undead empire as you sort of progress through the game. It's really quite interesting. Gary's in sort of saying the problem with min-maxing is the realization that the faction that you like the most isn't the best one. That's true as well. Jemison saying, well, there goes my free time invested into late age Ulm campaign. Thanks for the tips to Sithel. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Well, let's actually now flip across and talk a little bit about where was it? Battle for Wesnoth, back down in here. So this has now come to Steam, and it actually has had a pretty big change. I'll just go back into here again, and just get rid of that. Battle for Wesnoth, which is free. This is a free game. Now, this is Battle for Wesnoth is in one sense it's one of the most frustrating games I've ever played. It's got a horrible RNG aspect to it with the actual combat, and so I do mod that out. Like I've got a mod that I play so that I don't have to actually put up with the RNG. The RNG will drive you absolutely nuts. But it's a free game. There's lots and lots of mods for the actual game itself. So when was the last one? So this is the last regular update that came out. So it's just and it's all just put together by an active community essentially of of just people who've played the game for decades. Again, this is an oldish game, but one thing that they've actually added, which again was a mod that I looked for it when I did actually install the Steam version. I didn't realize it was actually part of the base game now, but there is actually like a random campaign, and the random campaign is the way I like to play the game now, which I haven't played this for quite some time. It's but there are a few mods. If we go, I'll just open her up. But it's nice having it on Steam because it then just keeps it up to date anyway. But there are a good collection of mods in here as well. But this one, the RNG in the base game is pretty bad, I've got to say. Just go to add-ons, just connect to the add-ons. And it's weird, like to play single player, you've got to go to multiplayer. And so there's some strange user interface, so user experience aspects about the game as well. So if I go to installed add-ons, so these are the ones that I have installed, basically. So these are the collection of most requested options to make mechanics more realistic and tactics. So this is the Advanced Wesnoth Wars. Changes combat approach, make it easier for good tacticians, harder for others. All of these features work for mainline campaigns and scenarios. And so it does things like... so this one I really like, the Advanced Wesnoth Wars. Features which... what do we have? So no random combats. This is I really like it with this one because it actually gets rid of the random number generator, and so at least you can then sort of plan your attacks. And for me, I like this a lot. There's different ways of actually playing this as well. You can sort of when you do come in and play it, you can sort of set it all up. It hasn't been updated for a long period of time, so I'm a bit worried about that. But it's got a lot of downloads, so it is actually fairly cool. Actually, recent changes. Not sure when this one was, but that's okay. Anyway, I do like that one. Color changer, that's just cosmetic. Ultimate random maps, there we go. More random maps. The corpse mod. Now this is interesting. This one here, I did this one because when I was live streaming it, it allowed you to see who got killed, because I had to ban whoever got killed of any of the named characters. This is a good one to play actually as a live stream. So you just update these in through this side. They're usually quite small, the actual mods themselves. Ally village modification, again, you don't have to play with these sorts of things, and I think I was testing some of these. The Kingdom Builder mod was really, really interesting, actually. This is something that didn't quite work for me. If I just go and click on that one. This one, Kingdom Builder mod allows units to build keeps, castles, villages and roads. So the fact that that's been updated, I might have to test this again, because that was something I really, really liked the idea of, but it just wasn't working 100%. So this add-on works in any sort of map, pre-made or randomly generated, and AI-controlled sides work with it. So what actually happens here is when you start off with this mod installed, is you end up with the where you essentially end up where you have to build your whole kingdom up, and it works really, really. It's quite an interesting way of playing the game. So again, just a really, really cool game. This one for a free game, this is an absolute must have. But yeah, I would strongly recommend the Advanced Wesnoth Wars. Pretty much that alone is the one that you want. Yeah, that's the one that you actually want. The others, give or take. But that one there is absolutely awesome. Just in the way it does actually sort of change the actual game itself. There may be others as well, actually. If we just go to all the add-ons and just look at sort order by downloads, so descending downloads. Now, most of them will end up just being either eras, which add units, or actual campaigns where you've got like pre-made maps. But there's a lot of stuff in here. Like there's just heaps and heaps of stuff. It just goes on and on and on. But it's there's a lot of good content there. Anyway, that's we'll just exit out of that one. So we'll quit out of Battle for Wesnoth, but we'll have to play that again, actually. That's I guess there's too many other good games around at the moment, but that is a very, very good game. So what do we get up to? So Gratian saying, any plans to do any more Zero Sievert? I loved your video on it. I know you think you're bad at it. I keep on coming back to it. I keep on looking at it, and because it's sitting right here all the time. I do notice it a lot and think I have fired it up every so often, but I am so bad at it. I'm really am just so bad at it. But I think after playing Jagged Alliance, I actually feel like playing it again. It's an amazingly good game. I think I'll wait for some more updates and then maybe sort of do that one again as well. John Monkey saying, yeah, the RNG sucks bad. Not with that mod. Once you actually put that mod in, it really changes the game. So that it makes the game, it gets rid of that RNG component. It's still a difficult game, but it just makes it so much better. Pickle Father singing that. That's when you know when you love a game, when you hate it but keep playing. This is going to be a long session. Sorry guys, I've just realised we've been going for quite some time and we've only scratched the surface here. There's a lot to talk about. I'll have to start sort of skipping past, or maybe only just do. I'll have a quick look back through here. Eddie Ballgame saying Battle for Wesnoth is one of the best tactical fantasy-based war games out there. Many multiplayer options. Yeah, actually, I have played some multiplayer of that many years ago, and that was pretty amazing as well. As a fairly fast multiplayer game in a fantasy setting, that's a good multiplayer game to play. Actually, I've got to say it's interesting. Okay, Oliver saying I started with the faction that interested me the most. Didn't care if it was hard or easy. And Micah is saying I found Zero Sievert a bit too frustrating. John Monkey said, definitely check out that mod for Wesnoth. Yes, it revolutionised it for me. It made it so that it became a good game. It's not a great game, like not when you compare it to other games, in the same genre, but it's a very good game, and so it's up there anyway. So particularly it'd be the best of the free fantasy games, I think would be the way I was sort of thinking of that one. All right, let's talk about Airships, and I do want to talk. So I want to go through what Airships is actually going to be bringing, because if you, and I don't know how many of you actually play Airships or like the idea of Airships, but this is an amazing game. I might actually show, as I said before, I'm supposed to be sort of trying to push it a bit as of tomorrow from talking with David, the developer, but I'm not going to be able to do it until next week after the DLC is out. So I want to sort of show what the DLC will have, and also for me one of the most exciting changes, which I hope comes to the base game. I'll just open her up. So this is Airships. Yeah, there's something that I've been very critical of one aspect of Airships for years, actually, which is the fact that it doesn't have a ledger. And I kept on. I've hassled, like the developer. I've hassled about the lack of a ledger for 4 years as well. And he's thought about it, but he just doesn't like the idea of it. Anyway. I've pushed it again just a few weeks ago and sort of said, look, like when we were talking about the DLC, and I said, the only thing I really want is a ledger, but he's got a much better solution. It's better than a ledger, in my opinion anyway. It does everything that you want from a ledger, and it works incredibly well with the actual game itself. So this is, So this is actually the the preview. This is the beta of the Heroes and Villains DLC. So we'll just go back across. We'll just start a Conquest game. For me, the Conquest games are where the game really is at. Just go to New Game. This is where you now actually have your heroes and villains that sort of come in. So one thing, I'll just go through the start of the game just so you sort of can see how things actually do work. I do have a couple of mods. Actually, we'll just go back out again. And if I just go into settings and info and then mods, I've got a few mods enabled. One thing I do actually have is North Plato Duchies Confederation. I don't know what that one is. New AI fleet as fleet to the game as an AI faction. I've sort of been loading these things in, so I probably will play a game with those actually in there, where it's where we've got like different sorts of AI factions. I might just enable that one as well. So they just become available for the AI to then have different ways of playing. So it mixes the style up, and so there's a lot of these you can just download. I just went and downloaded a selection of them without really sort of checking out too much. I do have my own mod, whereas I found that the jump between the difficulties was too much, and so I ended up creating like a mod in through here where it was I did halfway stuff all the way through. And so basically changes the difficulty level so they aren't as broad. So easy becomes very easy, hard becomes very hard, easy and hard are replaced with settings in between. Medium and imperial stay the same. So I've got those, but I then also did tweak it after this as well. So the way that you can then play it is with or without a starting airship. So if you want to design your own airships, you can then play it that way. So that's actually, so when you look at it, it's going to look a little bit different because of this mod that I made. I think that's on the Steam thing as well. But so if you're looking at this and thinking it doesn't look exactly the same, it's because of this mod here. I play on a bit hard. I don't play on hard. I find that a little bit too difficult, or did. I should maybe try that again. Anyway, I'll just leave that one through there. Apply changes. Yep. So we'll just go that way. And so if we just go back into Conquest, so Conquest mode is the campaign mode with random maps. We'll just go to New Game. So the way it works, and so this is where when we go into this is my mod, where it's got like the different, you've got the no ship starts in through there as well. So I've just put the in-betweens and added these in. So that's not going to be part of the base game. So that's actually why there's so much more in the difficulty there. I'll just play everything with this one sort of established. I do like to play without the rapid commands where you've got to wait for the cooldown to come. I find that a fairly engaging way to play the game. One thing that's interesting is that the actual the coat of arms that you end up having, each of the actual elements that you sort of see through here is if we go back through them, they all give you different bonuses. Like anvils will give you minus 50% steel armor cost and minus 10% ship cost. So they all do different sorts of things depending on whichever way they go. And so this can really change the game. And if you don't want to be playing with any of those, there's just heaps and heaps of them. It's amazing what David, the developer, has done with the game. Then you've got things like that don't give any bonus whatsoever if you don't want to have the bonus. But you can play with the bonus. If you have a very particular bonus, then you may want to go that way. So that makes it fairly interesting as well. One thing you can do through here as well is just to go back and just go random arms. It will then sort of come through. This one is a double reputation from sending delegations is with the peacock. In this case, you've got double income from tribute with using the fist. It will only sort of use one of these to actually do it. You don't get a double up there. This one here is the so the crown and a. So this is the plus 25% initial reputation. If we edit the arms there, it's just the crown is the first thing that it uses. Whatever that one there is, it's not using that one through that side. But it's just interesting the way it sort of does work. Again, it's sort of, if we go to the second one is a roundel. But I can change anything else in there that I like. And put a windmill in there if I prefer, or a wolf. So crown and a wolf. But when we go back and leave, it's still only going to have whatever the number one was. So it actually works really quite well. So it's a beautifully done game. The way it has been sort of put together in this sort of sense. You then got your starting heroes, and this is sort of like your governors. There's not enough if you select the heroes, they have pros and cons, and so this is what's going to be coming in the game. Actually, I'll just grab myself a drink of water, be right back. Okay, so this is we got there. So we've just got, these are the different characters. Now you don't have enough of these, I don't think. So I hope that there'll be more added. I'm guessing people will actually mod these in. But these are the various governors that you then actually start off with your starting city. And so these, I think, are the most vanilla of the sorts of governors that you then get. But they have different abilities. And what I might do is I'll show these, and then we'll go and have a look at the, like you can see that they've got different sorts of things like power, experience, loyalty back and through here, loyalty back up through this side as well. And so they degrade, like this one here is an architect, minus 40% upgrade cost in the city. They get +5 from constructing a new city upgrade and -10 from a spy action. Experience, they get +5 from constructing a city upgrade with their experience, and so they level up slowly over time. And the idea of these is that again that the dev is wanting a bit of more of an emotional connection with the individuals that you're using. And I found that when I was testing the game that was certainly the case. You do get a feel for them. I do find though that I end up just getting favourites and other ones that I just don't want to have. And I wish that there was a random selection down in here to force you to play ones that you're not really all that comfortable with. It's weird, science requires both brilliant minds and robust infrastructure. So I find her pretty good because maintenance cost is 5 coins or credits, or whatever. These are all just governors. If you can get, you can select her as a captain. I didn't realise you could actually. It looks like he's added more in just recently. Yeah, so we've got captains and governors in here. But there's about 60 of the actual characters that have actually been added in. So this is just a very, very small selection. Anyway, she reduces unrest in the city. She gives +50% research in the city, -20% upgrade cost in the city. So she's pretty good overall. There's no real negatives with her, so of course I'm going to select her. But then we just go back through. If we just start a game, I think, what am I doing there? I'm just going with a bit hard with no ship in this sort of instance. So the game then plays out. I'll just go to a bit hard where I do start off with an actual ship itself. Just start the game. Okay, so this is actually our starting location. So you've got things where you can turn the hints on or off if you want them or don't want them. There's a fair bit that it does go through, just sort of advising. It's a good thing to actually have. So you can sort of see that she's actually now in charge of our main city. We tend to sort of see, like, the cities now sort of show people, and the fleets will now show people as well. I don't think I can sort of show that aspect. The fleets themselves will end up having, ultimately you can then put captains on the ships, so you then end up getting sort of like more abilities in fights. So the fights themselves are quite interesting. Got a population centre, so they've got -25% crew maintenance cost by controlling that particular location. As we sort of come back in a little bit closer into our territory, you can see that we're making sort of money in different areas. We can, with this fleet selected, sort of move it off into different locations as well. Where that line is, that's the borders that sort of then follow through. And the game is played, you play it along these transport lines. And so from this port, we can then sort of get across and make our way up to here, down through to here. We can continue all the way around to Malixar, for example. So it's very much played along the lines of these lines in through here. You also have a fairly good diplomacy system as well. So, for example, Gear Bridge, if I go and click on Gear Bridge, I can go into diplomacy and then start to sort of look at the various things we can then go and do with Gear Bridge. And so it just gives me a rundown as to what how they are with everyone else in the world, which is okay. We can send an insult, send a delegation, make an offer, or make an ultimatum. I can also then do it, and I'm not doing a good job of explaining this, and I don't want this to go on for too long. I can just go to diplomacy and also have a look at it from here as well. We end up with the same sort of deal in through this side. Now, this hasn't been developed at all with what we're actually sort of then doing. Where are we? Gear bridges in through there. So if we send a delegation, we can just sort of have one being sent off. That's make an offer. You sort of then have these pros and cons. It's too early in the game to be able to sort of have a look at these in through this other side. But essentially, you're just using this very simple point system. But it's quite deep, quite a bit deeper than what you're thinking. And so the characters do add a lot to what actually does go on in the game itself. Don't know if we're going to see any other characters just yet until we get spies established. But the other thing that I'm really excited about is the different map modes. Like I was talking about the fact that it was difficult to with a ledger, because one of the things is when combat occurs in your cities, there's often things that are then a bit broken, but you don't know what they actually are. We've now got a new map mode, so we've got the diplomatic relations, so we can sort of see that everyone will be at peace. So the game uses this sort of symbolism to sort of show what's going on. You've then got showing any alliances. There's no alliances. Show any unrest. There's no unrest in our capital. This was a new one though. Show defences. And so what this one then does is it shows the actual defences from no defences, damaged defences, weak. So it considers everything we've done here as weak, decent and good. So we would then be able to just very quickly, looking at our own territory, figure out, okay, look, we need to ramp up what we're doing in here at Fructopus, and just go back across and just go into our defences. We've only got like the one defensive building so we need to build another building in here to shore up the defence of our capital. Because so I really quite like that he's done it this way, because we can very visually sort of get a feel for what's going on the map itself. So when we've got weak defences, we do need to shore them up, or we need to have fleets there to be able to protect it. So Oliver's saying, is this map randomly generated? Yes, it is. Yeah, so it's a randomly generated map. You do have some abilities to sort of change what does go on, but the main part of the game is really the fighting of the airships when you have an airship. And so designing ships and then building the ships. Like if we go into the ship design, you can then open up your different designs in through here. They've got a few that they sort of start with if you want them. You can also just create your own grouping. So in Twitch, for example, we've got a few different classes of ships. Like so the Jolly Roger is a cannon ship. The High Roger has got more suspendium chambers, so it can sort of go higher. So this is quite a good fun way of sort of playing the game. The Border is a ship with a ram and with a whole lot of soldiers on board, and its idea is to just ram into other ships and basically sort of just get the boarding party on board. There's no other weaponry on that particular one. The Bomber is one that's just got bomb bays underneath. So this is just playing on Twitch. We're building these ones up. Then the Scout ship was just the cheapest ship I could possibly get to go into enemy locations to see what was there and just gauge whether it was going to be worth, like particularly for ground forces. It was just a really quick way of just checking to see if it was worth going in. So minimal crew, just 3 crew on this particular one. Just a very with one suspendium dust chamber at the back end and a top sail just for movement. That's pretty much it. So absolute bare bones. But it was so much fun playing with all of these. As we sort of were going through the game, and then as they went up through the various tech levels, you essentially sort of then get to build what you sort of do need to have there. So at this stage, the border would be available for me to then go and build. This is actually the first of the borders that were created. Again, with no real armor, so no real weaponry, just a bow at the front there to sort of ram into things. So this is really, really cool the way this one does work. And you build these things up. So when you build the actual these ships, so that was what I was doing there. If I just go back and cancel that one and open designs, actually where is it? Just go back up. So that was Twitch, and this one in through here, I've got like other ones that I was sort of doing with a different sort of, it's just so much you can do with this. I do tend to end up with ships that look a bit like this. This one here is one that just has got grenadiers all at the front. So they throw grenades out. And so when you build a ship up, the game is mainly about building the ships. But with the new DLC, it does actually show the... and so they've got a whole heap that they've actually put in themselves. This one here is just a flying brick by the looks of things. The Deathly Wind. Yeah, so these are all ones that the game just comes with. If we just go and open one of these as an example... And so this is just a basic design that's been created. So it'll have like it gets its lift from these suspendium chambers. So that's the lift that it actually has. You then end up with stats about the actual ship itself. It's got 2 cannons. It's got a coal store to fire to drive the engines. We've got a small propeller at the back there. You need a supply hatch. So you need all these different. These are the most minimal things you can get. It's got a cockpit, so it's just got the basic sort of crew in that instance. And there should be a small ammo store. Where's the crew quarters? So there we go. We've got small berths for the crew to then man the guns. So this is a really, really small ship, and you can sort of see through here the crew is. It recommends 9 crew. It's got 6 at the moment. So it's a bit underdone, but this one can be brought in, and of course you can then just go back in and start to build up, whatever else you might want on the actual ship itself. But this is not going to last very long at all in a fight. So that's sort of the way it does work. If we just go and leave that one, and so yeah, it's a really cool game. So now what do we get up to there? So I've missed a lot of the other comments again. I'll go back and read the comments, but I do want to show it. I can't sort of show. I can't show too much of the heroes and villains system, but it does work very, very well. Different heroes will then come across to offer their services at different times, but they do come with pros and cons. So there's good things and bad things about each one of them. And you have to then try to figure out whether the bad is going to be not bad so that the good is still better than the bad. We streamed it on YouTube. I don't know if I'll stream it. I'll probably end up streaming it on because Twitch allows me to ban people when their ships die. It's a good one for me to stream on Twitch. But I think I'll do a series on this. I think I'll actually just record an actual series for probably over the next day or so. Just start to sort of record those. But it's a really cool game. Then you've got these other little things that are in here as well, like mad scientists are really... Actually, I'll show you the mad scientists. Let's go and attack them with our ship. So this is a really bad idea, by the way. Mad scientists are crazy powerful. You'd actually end up... There's another mad scientist back over there. There'll be different little monsters and things. That's okay. That's just a special ability. Pirates are difficult initially. They're not too bad, though. Dissident scholars, that's going to be a little bit difficult. There are wasps' nests are okay, beehives are okay. There's usually just bandits. Pirates are hard, but bandits, if you can find a bandits area and attack that, you can get them pretty easily. And you get benefits. So there's some deserters. That's probably actually would be an easy one. But let's do the scientist. I'll show you just how weird the game can get. So we'll just got to go to our research. I'll just go back down and I'll pick heavy wooden armor. Leave that one, and we'll just unpause the game. So our ship is now moving across. You need to have supplies on the ship, so supply is a big part of the game as well. Here we go. So we're now going into the actual fight itself. And so this is us now. So we're up in here. This is the pirate. This is the science. The scientist base in through this other side. So they're in here working away on something. We don't know what's going on there. That would be some sort of weapon that we don't know what it is just yet, I would guess. And then they've got this special robot down here, and so we can set up anywhere we like on our side of this area. Let's stay away from the robot. We can just move this one around anywhere that we like. Let's get down so that we're away from where the robot can reach us, and we'll just start and just quickly pause. Now we don't have any target for some of these different things, so we're going to now move across and we're going to try to bombard this. So let's just go across and press the M key, and we'll come back in and switch around. Actually, I'll just go to here. So I'm just telling it to move across. Bang. So that's being fired from this location. So this thing's now on fire. Our ship is being destroyed. We've lost one of our suspendium chambers, and now we're falling to the ground. Here comes the robot. It will then start smacking us. So that didn't go too well. So the inflammation was completely destroyed by the mad scientist tower. So all of there is the active pause is on, but what tends to happen is, so we've now lost our ship, so that was a defeat for us, and we lost the inflammation. So we can sort of see there we've now got a lost ship at that location. The other thing we have in through here is adjacency. This shows us where we can actually then go and move to. Again, this is just in the different map modes. Again, these work very, very well. Like, we're not adjacent to this one here, but we will be adjacent because of this port into these locations, into that location. There's a port that opens up into here, but not into these. Now, see, these guys are moving around as well. They'll start to attack each other fairly soon. So they all start to just do their own thing. We're now very susceptible to being attacked. We'd need to, like, if we were playing this one out, I think I'll now by default have this one open. If we go into defenses again and build a building, you've got some of them, they just sort of keep coming through. So if we just go and build this keep in here, which fires from both sides, so we'll just go and open this one up. But again, you can design these yourself and just go and position it. Just let it build. So it'll just take a couple of weeks to build that one. And that one may then change this one from weak to decent. Oh, hang on. Turn has declared war, so we've now got a war declared from one of the others. These guys up through here. Their ships haven't left yet. Yep, that's still not enough. So we'll just go back in again. Defences. Leave again. But yeah, there is active pause all the way through it. Okay, we're going to reject these. Now that we're so weak, so everyone's going to be declaring war because we've got no protection. Okay, they don't like us. Apologise profusely. So we're now losing reputation. Reputation is really important. So the threat of war. So we can sort of do different things. The diplomacy is, yeah, they've so they've now declared war as well. Yeah, see how this has now changed? We've now got this one up into decent protection in Fructopa. So I really like this because very graphically we can then sort of see what's going on. And so it changes the colour based on what we're sort of seeing through there. This is the political map back in this other side. But it's a really, really good game. And it's just gotten better and better over the years. There's so many like different aspects. That's a raid that's happened with the pirates. So the pirates have just raided Segan. There's stuff that's going on through here. Pirates have got another base in through there as well. So they're moving out around the place. I don't think we're going to have. Actually, they haven't moved anyone away just yet. We need to send spies in to these locations to be able to then see what's going on inside their city. But it's a really engaging game. Really amazingly good game. So I thought I'd just show it as much to show the show defences aspect, because that's something that I've really missed in the game is not being able to see what's going on. Here we go. We've got people declaring war left, right and centre. New age is now dawned. So the different ages will then come in the game as well. They sort of come fairly randomly, and they do different sorts of things as well. So there's a lot in the game. From if you haven't played it for a couple of years, then it's a different game than what it was. Very, very different. Anyway, I will actually leave it there. So with that particular game, we'll just quit out. But it's there's a lot to like about this game, an awful lot. I'll just now go back to the comments again. And that's got thousands of mods, that particular game. Now, we've missed a lot of comments again, guys. So we're going to be a little bit late today to do the giveaway. So Gratian's saying, Daz, have you played Stone Shard lately? Been a lot of updates. I haven't played that for a while. It's sort of one of those games where it's a hybrid between a preset map and random maps. And I do like Stone Shard a lot, actually. I do like it an awful lot. But I just haven't played it for a long period of time. A.S. Russell saying I've got into Furthest Frontier. I haven't played that. So Guy Bellaby saying Distant Worlds 2 under the embargo section. Tell us more. Okay, yeah, they've got 2 Distant Worlds. I've got Distant Worlds down in through here, which is the Matrix version, which I haven't played this, but there's no secret. There's 2 new factions coming, the Gizarians and the Quamino. They're going to be coming fairly soon. I don't know exactly when, but I'm not allowed to show them. But we are starting to see some screens in the open beta. So I've got Distant Worlds over here. I'm playing that at the moment on Twitch. So I've just started another game playing Distant Worlds 2 over there. God, that's a good game. But there is a new DLC coming with the 2 new factions very, very soon. So there have also been some other changes with Distant Worlds 2 this week as well. So just some little tweaks here and there, mainly with the AI. So it's getting better and better, the game. Where did we get up to? So I've done the under the embargo section. Silverkill saying I also got sucked into Furthest Frontier on release and concluded it needs a lot more work. Is any better yet? Battlemate saying Wesnoth is a good game considering it's free and not monetized in any way. Yes. It's funny, actually I'll talk about another free game. God, this is going to go for a fairly long time, guys. This probably won't be a 3-hour session. The Powder Toy. I don't know if you guys have ever played this, but this is free as well. It's sort of looking at Wesnoth. Wesnoth has been able to contain itself and bring the best of the mods and things into its base game, and so it still tries to present it in a way that makes it engaging for a new player. The Powder Toy does not. But it's an awesome game. This is actually one where you've got so many different things that have been added into the base game along the way. But what I find is that it's a confusing game to play, but it's an incredible game to play, this particular one, if you haven't played this. If I just go back into, say, solids or something. So, for example, I can create like an iron area. If I just press Control, I can then create like a box. If I then Control and right-click, I can then make it into a container. So this is one of these sort of games where you then do different things with it. If I add water, for example, liquids, add water, I don't know what I'm doing here, that will then end up rusting the actual iron itself. We can also then put, we've got electronics, we can put a spark on the metal, and that will then just send a pulse through, including through the water. And so that's now heating up the water. So we're now getting water molecules, and if I start to just pulse more and more, that will then heat up the water more and more, and we end up with sort of like steam. So it ends up being almost like a physics sort of based game. It's quite an amazing game, the way it sort of does play. So this one's now sort of under its own, like it's now just pulsing away, feeding itself. And so we've now created a box of steam. It's just, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but there's all sorts of different things you can do with it. Like if we go and let's go and melt this one with some, where is it? If we go to explosives. If I go to gunpowder, I don't know if the gunpowder will ignite. But see how the heat is pushing it away as well? So there's like thermal currents. It's not even getting to actually land on the thing. Most destructive bomb. Yeah, that's now just blowing things up. Anything it touches, it will then blow its way through. But it's just an amazingly good game. Like it sort of, there's pressure. It goes through the temperature. So just through that electrical current under its own steam now, there's just so much going on. But it's just a fun little game. But this game, I've noticed that people have been trying to get into this game. But people who try to get into the game, the actual community, I don't know if I may just have been reading some of the wrong comments, but the community itself for this game has almost inbred, and like they don't have any patience for new people that have come into the actual game itself, and it's just an amazingly good game, but with now a very limited set of people who play it. I think because and I may be getting that one wrong. That may be unfair on the but every comment in the forum, it was people would give minimal information back about the questions, and the answers were more given, from what I could sort of see, to make the person responding look as clever as they possibly could without actually imparting any useful information. And it's a shame, like when games get like that. And so when you look at a game like this, which is an amazingly good little, it's not really a game, it's a sandbox type game, but this has got so much going for it, and yet it looks like the community is eating itself, not in a way where they're actively destroying themselves, but it looks like there's an elite group of people who don't want new players to play the game, which is sort of funny. I may be misreading that, but just from different forum posts that I went to, I was really surprised at just how unhelpful a lot of the comments actually were for new players that were trying to get into the game. And to contrast that, actually, I bought this game called Sandbox, which has got nowhere near the power of the powder toy. Just clear this one. This is a much simpler game, but it's and this one again. If we sort of just go and create, hang on, that's not going to be it. If I just go and this one doesn't have anything like the what the other game can do, but it still has the same sort of style of thing. So if I go and put water in there, it doesn't look anywhere near as good. It doesn't work anywhere near as well. It doesn't have electrical stuff, as an example. So it doesn't actually, to build a fire, I would then need to just go across to fire and create like a fire tap. We've got flame and fire. I think flame is hotter. If I create like a tap, and just start to heat up the water this way. So this is how the same sort of thing then works with this then creating steam. It's then sort of it's then sort of coming back through. But there's no thermal current, so this is a much sort of simpler version. But this game is like, if you were trying to get a kid involved in one of these things, this game is much better because the community seems more positive. This is you have to buy this one, but it's super cheap. This is just a game called Sandbox on Steam. I saw it and thought I really do like these sort of games, like all these sorts of physics types things. But anyway, that's I thought I'd just show that. But just the contrast between the direction that Wesnoth has gone over the years and the powder toy just seem really different. And as I say, I may have just gone and just happened to open up forum posts with the worst of those sorts of responses, but they couldn't have been less helpful if they tried, and they couldn't have been more about trying the person answering to make himself look as clever as possible if they tried as well. It's just weird because it's such a great game. Anyway, I thought I'd just when we're talking about things like these sorts of free games where, I mean, it doesn't cost you anything, but like it's sort of, you wonder about the life with a game like that, if the community is getting like that. Okay, where are we up to? Yep, so yeah, Ben, that came from Ben's comment there about Wesnoth is a good game considering it's free and not monetized in any way. Powder Toy isn't as well, but I hope someone comes in with a positive mindset there. And look, it may already be. I didn't look very far. So as Russell's saying, Sorbical has gotten better with the last update. Give it a try again. You don't know the furthest frontier at all. But I'm saying, someone on YouTube saying that some ridiculous crap about 2023 has killed video games, but not only that, only if you just play AAA trash normie games. AA and indie games are absolutely smashing it right now. They are indeed. And like you look at Jagged Alliance, just an amazingly good game. And I think that you'd have to say that like Age of Wonders would be a AA, not a AAA. I would guess. Oliver's saying wokeism killed AAA. It's funny. I think people are too sensitive to wokeism now, to be honest. I saw that. What game was it? Somebody refused to play it because there was pronouns in it. I think it was Age of Wonders 4. someone actually, when they saw that you could, when you were designing your own character, you had to choose pronouns. It was like, that's it, I'm not going to play the game at all. But it was actually it was actually just part of the story, so they could put he or her into it. So anyway, I know it's like, I think it has gone too far. I think particularly when you get drummed into you that the word they is plural. I struggle with that, and I don't mean that to be insulting in any way if anyone does consider themselves that way, but it's I don't know. For me, I struggle with the grammar. But English, grammar changes over time, I guess. Anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So because saying I'd say it's been a very strong year so far. Yeah, I think gaming, the last few years in games have just been incredibly good. Like the last 2 or 3, just amazing. It really has been a revolution. Okay, so because saying to A.S. Russell, when I run out of things to play, it's a very strong run to the end of the year. There is a lot of games coming up. Yep, so Eddie Ball Game saying agreed, battle mode. My favourite games are all indie games. Yeah, I tend to find that I do prefer those. Andy Rayner saying, I think with the indie games, they can take more risk and do more unusual and unexpected things. Like it's where we're not constrained by a big budget and a big team, like where they've, so I think that they can also indulge in stuff that they're interested in. I think that's always a welcome thing with anyone that does anything. I think passion with any job, no matter what it is, whether it be game development or anything, is just so critical. And when you've got like a small team that does actually have passion about what they're doing, it does then show in what they focus on in their games. And so I think it is good. Like that's why I like indie games so much. And it's it's like like Airships is put together by a single dev. And again, he loves what he does, and so he focuses on the things that he wants to focus on. That's why he didn't put a ledger in the game. But he's answered the ledger thing with a beautiful solution with the maps. So it's really, really cool. What did we get up to? So Andy's saying, was the heroes added into the game already, or is this a preview build? Yes, that's a preview of what's coming in a few days' time. So there's going to be, if we go and have a look, I'm not exactly sure of when that one actually does come back in. We'll just go back across to Airships. Conquer the Skies. And the Heroes and Villains is coming, so that just a couple of days' time, actually. I'll just find where it's got that one. Yeah, by the way, it's fleets. It's not just a single one. Heroes and Villains. Yeah, so coming on... Actually, that's funny. It doesn't actually show the date, but it is literally coming in a couple of days' time. It's going to launch this week. That's why I don't have any qualms about. Even though I'm not supposed to really, like, he doesn't want me to show the game properly until tomorrow. That's because it's about a day away from launch. So that was the reason for it. But it is this week that this is actually now coming. You can see there releases in 1 month, and that was from June 19th. Which for me it's the 18th right now, so probably if you guys have a look at it, it might sort of say from June 18th, I would guess. So it's really quite nice. Here's the design notes. Actually, that just came this week. So this is actually just going through essentially the way it sort of does work. He goes through. Actually, this is interesting. Actually, I did read this because he went through looking at different other games and how they actually handle story events, and he didn't want to do it the same way. He found that some were just too constrictive and others were just too loose, and so he wanted people to have a connection with the characters. And I hope he makes more and more of the characters and brings heaps and heaps in, but he did want like a definite connection, and he wanted them all to be fairly unique. So he sort of compares them, for example, with things like where you've got like a situation like with Crusader Kings 3 and RimWorld, so on two ends of the spectrum. He's tried to pick something in between that for the actual characters themselves, just so that they become much more meaningful and memorable when you actually do play the game. And I think he's done that. Like from when I've played it, you do rely on the heroes to a degree. They're not super overpowered, but they do actually have a bearing on the combat, which is quite interesting. So looking forward to sort of being able to show that as of tomorrow properly. But I did want to sort of highlight that is coming this week. So if you've got airships, you may want to look at that content. I hope that map mode about the other stuff comes into the base game. I did test the base game again when I saw the map mode it snuck in there, but because it's not mentioned anywhere. But I hope it becomes part of the base game and not just for the DLC. But it is a very, very cool game, the way it sort of does work. So these are the symbols of where certain things are happening because of the leadership, where they're sort of you enact them at different times. I'll see if I can find a screen actually that does show it. Let's just go through these. I'm not seeing it there, but these are where it's been highlighted. So this is the captain of this ship is in here. So often it will tell you, it's got the graphics turned off to sort of go through the ship names and things, but this is the actual hero that they've got. So this is a flanking maneuver, so instantly move the ship to the far side of the enemy. So this is actually like a special ability that this guy actually has, where he can then click that and immediately the ship then moves across the other side. So it looks like it's actually already been enacted just to get away from these big cannons. So that would be what that one actually is. This is the same one in through this side. So selecting, this is Anchor Arcalote. Again, that's just a selection screen. Okay, so this is actually where this is Hept Zerpak is a governor, and he can actually move dragons. So move dragons in this governor's territory to a free monster nest site outside your empire. So if you've got dragons inside, then you can just move them, which then destroys the income of other people until they're eradicated. So they've all got these little, quite unique. There's a smoke screen, so it produces a thick cloud of smoke that makes the ship very hard to hit. So that's created a smoke screen around that particular ship, so that there's just one's coming into attack. Pirates residing near Walton, Asker for 500. So this is actually where the diplomacy and the way the game sort of play is sort of changing a little bit. So it's much more engaging as an actual, like the old Conquest game was really not that much fun to play when it first came out. It was very much a battle type game where you build your ship and then just battle it and just test to see how it goes. But Conquest mode was always the one I was actually most interested in. And there was mods you could get would make it more interesting. But now the base Conquest game really is very, very interesting. So this one here, martial law, this has got different edicts that he can then go and produce. So troublemakers beware. So he's a bit hard hitting. So that's it. That's all of the actual screenshots. But there's a lot of them. They all have very unique sort of aspects about them. Anyway, that's I thought I'd show that because I do find Airships to be one of the most underrated games. Although having said that, the actual game itself I think rates incredibly highly. Actually, just go back. Yeah, overwhelmingly positive, 96%. There we go. And 97% in recent times. It really is an exceptional game. It does warrant those sorts of abilities. And it is active pause, and there's different ways of playing the game. You either play it where there's like a cooldown period, depending on your crew factor, as to when you can actually sort of give instructions, or you can just play it where you've got active pause the whole time. I play it with that limitation because I do like it that way, but it really is a very, very good game. All right, okay, so so the map is randomly generated. Yes, I'm sold now. It says, actually, where are we? Sorry, I'm so far back up this thing. I'm going to have to skip past all of these. I'm sorry, guys. Never underestimate cheap scouts. I'm so far behind. I'll just read the ones that got ChatTactic in the name. So Diamond saying hi. Hope you're doing great. Yes, I'm doing well. Thank you. So Thor is saying I will get airships. I don't know if I've got it on my page actually. I've just have a look. I know that actually there were some questions about the my Nexus page. Whoops. Nexus. Hang on, what have I done? NEX US. There we go. So I've got like 10 games here. If you are wanting to get the game, like always just double check. That's weird that's kicked in. So I don't actually have Airships on here, and also I do have Xenonauts. So I've got Xenonauts. I've been able to put Xenonauts on, but I can't get. There was some questions about whether I can actually get the Jagged Alliance on there, and no, Jagged Alliance won't be available through the Nexus Game Store, unfortunately. But a lot of my other favourite games sort of are in there. So anyway, I thought I'd just mention that it's pretty much Airships. I don't think I can get in here either. I should actually ask about that, but it's only if the developers and publishers will actually sort of allow the game store to then put it in. But I'm not sure if I can actually put that one through there. If I just do Airships. No results found. Right, so it can't. It looks like Airships won't be available either. All right, just skimming through. Okay, so I'm just skimming down through all of this stuff. H1's voice two pronoun probably he, him, and she, her. Lol. Yes, feel the same. Daz and BM are great channels for quality videos. I've learned a lot from these guys for sure. Says Rogue. Thanks for that one. Where are we up to? Sorry, guys, I'm just skimming through. So Xenonauts 2 in 12 hours. There we go. That's good. Going on motorbike, just won the Tour de France. He identifies as a cyclist. It's Bilko. Anyway, I'm not going to get caught up into all the pronoun stuff, so we'll just go through there. Thor is saying Airships looks a lot like a Microprose game. It really would fit so perfectly in the Microprose library. It really would. I've said this before, actually. It feels like it's a Microprose game. The way it sort of is working. I think that the dev would just stick with what he's got now, but it certainly feels that way. So Michael Druss is saying, Daz, just watched your last Xenonauts 2 video. Thumbs up. Really like that series. It's a great fun to watch. It was a really cool game, Xenonauts, actually. Really, really cool game. Yep, so I won't get into the about gender and pronouns and things, so I'll just skip past all of that, just so I keep this video monetized. Now we've got saying, hi Daz, would you recommend Xenonauts 2 on day one? Absolutely. It's really, really good. It's so much better than Xenonauts 1. Like, strongly recommend it. So Commander Rados is saying, I really loved your stunning gameplay in Xenonauts 2. I've never managed to knock out that many aliens. It's good fun. Like, and it is one of those things where now, like in the last session that I played on Twitch, we did end up with some issues in the last two times. It can be hard. You can sort of lose people, but you just got to be careful. Like, and if you're under no time constraint, don't rush. That's probably the biggest thing with it. Hi, Skenik, how are you going? So where are we up to? So looking forward to more. I've got so many more recorded. I just no one's watching them. Like, so I've been worried about putting up the Age of Wonders 4 tutorial series because I'm only getting like a couple of hundred views on those, and it's that bothers me because it means that YouTube will then punish everything else I put up. Which is really bad. So I don't know what's happened with Age of Wonders 4. It was such a popular game when it released, and I think people are just, I don't know, they just had enough of it for some reason, which is Gratian saying, Daz, you're having more Age of Wonders 4 Let's Play coming soon. Been too long since the Dwarf one. Yes, I do want to do it. It's just I'm worried about the popularity. Like, I've been putting up this tutorial series, and I've got a lot of them recorded, but I'm really now worried about putting them up. Just that it's okay. So Gratian saying, no, I'm watching them. I will put them up. I just got to figure out a way of trying to get some more popular videos in amongst it, so that the algorithm doesn't kill me. Because that's the trouble with YouTube, is that once you start getting a few videos that don't get the views, they then punish everything you do, which is really a pain in the ass. Basically, it makes it very, very difficult. Maybe no. I do want to keep them. I think they're valuable content. They're viable content. So I do want to keep them here on my main channel, and I don't want to get too tricky with the whole algorithm thing. Hopefully one day YouTube will fix it. Rogue is saying I didn't want to spoil many things for Age of Wonders 4, so I haven't watched them, but I will. It's unfortunately, it's usually with those sort of videos, I would expect maybe 4 or 5 times the view count at least, and so it's been It's been really weird, actually. I've been looking at it and thinking, I wonder what's going on. I try not to worry about it too much, because often that happens with YouTube, where for whatever reason they just stop pushing something, or you say the wrong word. I mean, I've said this before. I put the word theocrat when I did an Age of Wonders 3, and that seemed to have been the thing that really, really killed my channel in a big way. It was just that one series of Age of Wonders 3 that they decided was I was being problematic. Cecil's saying, it sucks since there's people that have a reason to watch them. It's a good service. Yeah, YouTube algorithm is far more bothered about daily videos than any other thing. Yeah, which I mean, I was putting those up every day. I'll go back to releasing more of them again. Dusty Monk's saying, I don't want to watch Age of Wonders, but I'm willing to